No,
This
no.
conference will now be recorded.
It is related to yesterday's service and deployment. Just to summarize that,
uh-huh.
uh, what exactly it is in one word.
Yeah. You want me
Okay.
to summarize? Yeah.
No,
Yeah. You want?
I'll going to summarize and just correct me if I'm correct or wrong.
Okay. Okay. No problem.
So the service we create pod because why we creating a pod? Because if the container dies, if we have only container will get new IP, right? Every time whenever the container dies. So the pod has its own IP. So that's why when the container dies, the pod it will not going to impact your application because it has the IP which pod is going to use. Basically, pod has its own IP. That's why.
Mhm.
So there's a and why second part why still we need to use a pod because it's a loosely coupled. If any containerized application engine comes, maybe CRIO or Rocket or anyone other than Docker, we still able to use a pod. So
Mhm.
there's no dependency on one container. That's why we
Mhm.
are using pod. So that's why
Mhm.
why we are using pod. Correct, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
okay, and now comes to the deployment. Deployment is used
Mhm.
basically to more if pod dies, then again the pod get a new IP, right? So that's again a problem. So that's why
Mhm.
to overcome that problem, we use deployment so that uh, no, sorry, uh, 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 not for that. Deployment is used only for your making sure that if the pod dies, it will come again. There's some
Mhm.
redundancy comes into picture using deployment
Mhm. Correct.
and service used for communication channel to communicate to the outside world and within cluster pod to pod or anywhere, right? So that
Correct.
they will not going to use the pod IP, they will use the service IP for communication. So that's again, if the pod dies,
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
it's not going to be impact on your application or business because that application pods are tied up with your service IPs, cluster IP. That's why we are
Mhm.
using service instead of using pod IP. That's why the service comes into picture, right?
Great. All right. Very good. So good. Thank you very much for that, for summarizing it. Very nice. Uh, so pod in one word to launch containers. Right, guys? Good. It is a building block of the container. What is a deployment for HA and self-healing? So high availability will be maintained of your application as well as self-healing will be maintained. In case something goes wrong with the pod, it will automatically recreate it. And third important step that we have seen is service. Service is a networking abstract. It is a networking layer which is used to access application. Right. So this is the three important terms we have learned till now. I hope that this makes some sense, right? Okay. Now, what we are going to do, guys, now today, we are going to roll out the application. We are going to see how to roll back the application. We will see the how to pause the application and how to roll back to the specific version of application, right? So this is our today's topic, and as well as we are going to see autoscaling using HPA. These are our main topics of discussion. If at all we get a time, then we'll start discussing about the volume, but this is what we are going to discuss today. So we have seen what is a rollout. Let's say that there is one application you have developed. Let me start my whiteboard. Okay, let me create a new keyboard. Okay, and it's something called as let's say deployment and HPA. Okay, guys. So consider that your developer has developed very nice application. There is a source code available. So what we'll do, guys? This is a source code. Now this source code you will bundle and you'll put it inside that you will wrap in. You need to put into the container. So what we'll do? You'll write very nice Docker file, and from the Docker file, what you will do, guys? You will create a nice image, right? And this image you will say that this is my application. This the name of the image is my application version 1.1 1.0. Let's say this is by version 1.0. Now what we'll do, you have this image, so what you will do, you will use this image in the Kubernetes cluster to create a pods. So you will write one manifest here by using a YAML file, right, guys? And this is your YAML file. You will write here nicely, very nice. This is my type deployment, and I want this many replicas. I want 4 replicas, and the image which will specify. So this image will specify in the specification, right? So now what will happen here? Once you write this YAML file, this YAML file will be given to the Kubernetes cluster. Where it will be given in the Kubernetes cluster? It will be given to the API server. Correct, guys? So now this API server will get this particular YAML file from the developer by using the kubectl command. And then API server will talk to the internal entities such as deployment, replica set, scheduler, and etcd database to find out the right worker node, and it will deploy the application, right? So here pod will get deployed on the worker 1 as well as worker 2. So what is the meaning of this, guys? The meaning is that you have deployed whatever the source code is available. This is your application 1 version 1.0. Now it has been deployed in the worker nodes and it is running fantastically. You have created the service, you have created the load balancer, whatever you want to create, and you have given it to the customer, and customer is very happy, right? But later on, what happened? The customer says that I want to do some modification in the little bit, some functional changes are required. So what will happen again? Your developer will start developing the source code. Again, new Docker file will be created. Again, new image will be developed. So let us say that is your app version 2.0, something like that. Then again, the YAML file will be written, and that YAML file will be returned to the given to the API server, and API server will give to the etcd database to store the information, and then again it will will give the information to the scheduler, and it will ask scheduler, look, find out the right appropriate worker node who is having enough resources, as well as, one second, guys. Okay, so now a scheduler will be informed that to find out on which worker node you have enough resources. So scheduler will find out that information and it will given to the API server. Then API server will talk to the deployment and then replica sets, and then the information will be given to the kubelet, and then kubelet will deploy the pod as per the information given by the API server. So your new app 2.0 has been deployed. So you can just change in the Docker file with the image name, and your new application will get deployed. So you will have one more replica set created. Again, some changes has been occurred, and you have created one more image that is called as application version 3.0. It has been deployed. Again, you have deployed 4.0. Like this one, you can deploy the versions. So this is nothing but calling rolling out your application. Changing the versions is nothing but you are rolling the application. That is called as a rollout. But suddenly what happened? Customer says that, look, I was very happy with the version 2.0. I don't feel that version 3.0's look and feel it's good, or this functionality is not working fine. can you revert back to the 2.0, or in for that matter 3.0, or sometimes you say that no, scrap everything now, go back to the 1.0. In case in real world right now without Kubernetes, if you want to do it, then it is a big task actually. Moving from one application version to the another application version is a quite good task nowadays, and a lot of teams gets involved into this one, and everybody will get involved, and people start thinking that how to do this activity, right? So but in the Kubernetes it is very easy, because in Kubernetes deployment keeps the track of 10 replica sets, that means 10 different revisions. This way we can have a 10 versions of one application can be maintained. That means you can have 10 replica sets in one deployment. Okay, so deployment maintains 10 revisions of the versions. So now this is what I want to do. And sometime what happens when you are migrating from or migrating from version 2.0 to 3.0, due to some reason 3.0 doesn't get rolled out, it gives error. Then how to pause that, how to rectify that, and how to start it again properly, that we are also going to see. How to pause the deployment, how to unpause the deployment, that will also see today. Okay, so rollout is nothing but deploying the application. Roll back is nothing but bringing back that application to the earlier version. Pausing is nothing but there is some issue or you want to rectify something, you can pause that application. Unpausing is nothing but that remove it and start the application in that version after rectification. Revision is nothing but to which version you want to go back. This is my, if you have started with the revision, first is one app 1.0, this is your revision 0, this is called as 1, this is called as revision 2, this is called as revision 3. So you say that I want to go to the revision 0 or 1, that means you want to go to the app version 1.0. So revisions are calculated like that. All right, so guys, I'm going to show you that I have created a 5 applications. There are 5 different images are available in my Docker Hub. I'm going to use that one, as well as when you are going to do the practice, guys, that is there in the uh, it is already there in the document of the this one, right? You can see this document. All the steps has been given. How to deploy, how to describe, how to roll back, everything is given here, guys. So what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to use this image for the practice purpose. I have created my images and they are already on the Docker Hub. Guys, you can even use that images, but in the document, whatever given in the documentation, you can also use that as well. There is no problem. So let's start with deploying our first deployment. So how do we do that? So first of all, we'll write our one small deployment, guys, quickly. So I have some deployments already created, so we'll just modify that one. So let me take the CP orange. Let me use this one for, as what should I use? Rollout.yaml. This is the name I'm giving. Let me change something inside this. Okay, so I'm going to give this name as, let's say that it is a K21 application, K21 app, like this. And I'm giving the name to it as also, okay, K21 app. So match label, let's say match, this is my production. How many replicas you want? 4. That's fine. Rolling update strategy will keep that as it is. This is again my application is equal to prod. This is my label. And now container, I want to change it here. So let me give the name of the container as C1. So I'm keeping the name very short here because that name is required while rolling back and rolling up, while setting up the new image. And now I want to use my image, guys, which I have created. So I will go to the Docker Hub and see what is the name of the image, and the rest of the things will remain same. So I have a Docker hub here, Docker hub. So I have created 5 versions of these. It is very simple, guys. It is not difficult. I have tried. Very simple. These are the 5 versions I have created. Wave v 1.0, Wave v 2.0. So this way I have 5 versions of the applications, and only one liner code is there, not a big code at all. So now let me go here, version 1.0, and this is the name of my image, Kharat Ramesh /k8 rollback colon v web v1 1.0. I'm copying this one, guys, and I'm going to use this image which I have created by using a Docker file, and I'm going to put it here. Right, so this is my first image, and I'm going to deploy this particular deployment, or I'm going to roll out this. You can say this is my rollout, first rollout. So now let's deploy this one. So let's save this. Okay, I hope that everything is correct. K21 prod rolling update is there. The match label is app prod and template label is app prod. Yes, container is fine. Okay, cool. Now kubectl create. So this is my first rollout. Okay, so you can see it is created. Now you can see here get all. In this one you can see this is a deployment name, K2 app, and this is one replica set got created. It says that there are desired 4, okay, current 4 and ready 0, because right now, because it might be downloading that image. Yes, correct, and it is now ready. So now let me expose this to the outside world. So kubectl expose deployment / my application name is K2 app1, and I will give the name to this service as K2 app1 only, right? And what is the type that I'm going to use is, let's say, node port, and the port I'm going to use, that is your service port, let's say that 80. So now this is exposed. You can use command kubectl get svc, and you see that this particular application has been exposed on the port number 327736. I can copy this. Let me find out the IP address of my master node. Go to this place, Control V, and let me copy this port number 32737 32637, and look at this. It shows me this is my version v1. So this is my first rollout, guys. This is my first application deployed. How to check whether this is the first or not? So to do that one, you can see here kubectl rollout status. Okay, so the required resource not specified. Kubectl deployment / K2 one app. Yeah, sorry, it is different, guys. Sorry, kubectl rollout deployment / K2 one app status. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
kubectl typo.
Thank you. Yeah, it shows that kubectl is now this application has been deployed successfully. Then now you see here history. So this is my first change. This is my first revision. This is my first deployment. Now, let me describe this one.
Ramesh, what is rollout here?
Rollout is nothing but deploying the application. That is rollout. kubectl uh, get describe deployment slash k2 app. Now you can see here, guys. So it helps you to understand all the parameters. This is my description, and this is rolling update strategy type you have used. 4 desired, everything is fine. There is no unavailable. So fantastic. This is my container name C1, and this is my image. Can you see here, guys? This is an image, and yeah, cool. So this has been deployed properly. Look at this is the image that you need to watch. So now what I want to do, later on what is decided now, we do want to use new image, right? So this is the output of my first image. This is my first source code. This is my first version of the application. Now customer says that do some modification and create new application and then roll out that new application. So my developer has done all the work and he has created image and has kept the image on the Docker Hub. Now I will use that image to change the to roll out the new version of the application. Okay, so I want to do that now. How I can roll out the application? So there is a very simple command that we will use to roll out. So I can make change inside the YAML file to change it, or otherwise I can use this command also to roll out. So let me copy this. Okay, so I'm just commenting out this one. Let me write this specific command to roll out kubectl record deployment. So which deployment you want to record? That is k2 app. Set image. Now you want to change the image because you have made different source code, and the different source code is available in the different image. So you want to set the image deployment slash k21 app, and to whom you want to set up the image. You have to set up the image to container, right? Because image is the property of the container. What is the name of my container? C1 equal to what is the new version of my image. So I want to go for the second version of my application. So you can go to the Docker Hub, guys. I have another version, so let me copy this, and I will just check I will just modify it as version 2.0. So this is my new application is getting rolled out. Now let me enter here, and it shows that this image has been updated. So let's see this particular stuff. kubectl get pods -o wide. Look at this. My new pods are getting created. Oh, is it still recreating property I'm using? Okay, no problem. So it got created now. Now let's see that whether my new application has been got deployed or not. How to check that? Don't do anything else, just refresh this and you should be able to see version 2. Yes, my new version has been uploaded. It has been deployed successful. So this is my second rollout. How to check the history of this? To check this one, you can use command kubectl rollout history, and can you see this is my second rollout where image is equal to 2.0. Now see here, guys, kubectl get replica sets. This is my second replica set. This is my first replica set. Now it is not having any desired state because we have now moved to the second replica set. This is my second rollout. So when you do the second rollout, second replica set will get created. Now After some days, again customer comes and says that please change this one, change that one. So again my developer does that job. He creates no image and he has kept the image in the Docker Hub. Now before going there, you can describe this one, kubectl describe, and see whether the new image has come or not, which is version 2 K21APP. And you should be able to see that this is the new image got it created, guys. See, so new image has been deployed now. Okay, cool. So now we have got the second image also deployed. Let me go ahead and deploy third image now. So how do I do that? I have same command. On the Docker Hub, I have my third image as well. So I'm going to just change here version 3.0. Can you see, guys? Yes, it is done. So now you see here kubectl rollout history. You are at third revision. And now kubectl, if you see, now let me go here and check out whether my new code has been deployed or not. Look at this. It's beautiful, version 3. So similarly, I can deploy version 4 also. Now, if you think that, can I change this in the YAML file and deploy this one? Yes, I can do it. Let me show here. vi rollout.yaml, and look at this, guys. This is my image. So I am going to deploy my fourth rollout, that is version 4.0, if I'm not wrong. Let me save this. kubectl apply -f rollout.yaml. So this is my fourth revision. It is applied now. You can see here kubectl get replica sets, and this is my fourth revision. Can you see here? After some time, you will find that all three has got 00 desired state. Now my fourth one is 4 because I have fourth rollout. And because of this, it creates the replica sets and keep the record of the replica sets. That's why it is easy to roll back. All right, now, so I have the four images now. Now let's consider that I want to go back to the I want to deploy one more. Let's say I want to deploy one more image, but while deploying this one, I'm going to do some different thing here. Let me use, instead of version 5, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it here 55. So I'm giving the image name of to the container wrong image name I'm giving. So it is showing that version has been changed now. Okay, so now I can use here kubectl kit rs. So the fifth one is started creating, but there is a problem. You see the kubectl get pods -o wide, and you should be able to see there is some problem with this one. There is error, image full back off error has come. So you can see here kubectl get events. You should be able to see what is happening here. It is scaling down the one, but yeah, let me describe this one. kubectl describe deployment. What is the issue? Why this is getting failed? That we need to identify, right? So I'm going to use this K2 app one, K21 app, sorry. And you can see somewhere there might be problem. Yeah, it shows that there is a 2 unavailable. And you see here, this is the wrong image I have given. It should be 5.0, but it is showing 55. And that's why I'm getting that image full back error. Now what I want to do, I want to pause that and I want to change it. So how do I pause it? So to pause the this one, there is one command. Let me show you guys here in the documentation. This pause is there. You can see here all the rollout and rollback, all the same commands I have fired. Only I have taken, instead of Nginx, I have taken the different image. So that is the only thing I have done. Now you can pause the rollout, guys, like this one. So I can use this command to pause it. kubectl pause deployment slash k21 apps. It is not apps, it is just app, right? So you can see it is showing that my deployment has been paused. Now what I will do, I will modify this deployment. So how do I modify this? So kubectl edit deployment. I'm showing you different versions, guys, slash k2 app. I can change in the YAML file, I can change in the command line, I can edit this deployment. K21 app, I'm so sorry. And there is a problem with the version of the image, right, guys? That is the issue. So I need to change this version. So this is the issue, right? So this is the image. Let me see if it works. So I'm changing this image. I hope that there is no other places this image is mentioned. Let me save here, guys. And it is done, right? Now can you see if my pods have started? No, but I need to unpause this, right? So how should I unpause it? So this is pause. I modified it. Now I want to unpause it. So what is the command I should use to unpause? So you can see, guys, it is if you describe deployment now, it will be showing that progressing. Okay. Now I would like to roll out the history. We can check it, and now I want to go back. So kubectl rollout resume. This is the command. So can you see what is the now history of this deployment rollout history? Now we have paused this, right? So it is showing the fifth one is there, but it is error prone. Okay, now if you see the kubectl describe, I have paused it, right, guys? So how it looks like, describe deployment slash k21 app. Okay, so it shows that it is deployment controller, yes, scaled up replica sets to 2. There is a problem here, guys, right? And what is the version now of the new image? Yes, now this new image has been come back to the 5.0, but it is in the pause status, right? So now I need to roll back that. I need to unpause it. I need to resume the deployment which was paused, because right now which is in the unpaused, right? So you can see here progressing is unknown, status deployment paused. And if I try to see the data out of it, what is coming up? It is showing me the last value only. It is not showing me the new one. Okay, so it is paused now. So let me resume kubectl rollout resume. Which one? Deployment slash k21 app. So you can see that it shows that it has been resumed. Now kubectl get pods hyphen o wide, and my new pods have started. That image pooling error has gone. Image pool error has been gone, guys. Now my fifth, yes, now my fifth version has been uploaded. Now it should be, oh, I think that is having version 4 only output, not 5. That is a mistake, guys. In the image which I have created, I have not changed the data inside it, so it is a version 5 only, but it says the same thing. Okay, cool, guys. So my version 5 is now uploaded. So let's see that kubectl rollout history deployment slash k21 app. Now you can see this. These are you can see the 6 revisions happened. So first one was first successful, second was successful, third was successful, this was also successful. There was a problem at this one. It doesn't show here what was the problem, but if you roll back to this one again, that problem will come. So now this is my 6th one. Now to which version you would like to go back, guys? Can you tell me the number, any one of you? To which revision you would like to go back? Because your customer says that, no, I don't like this version 5. I want to go back to the some other version. So which version you would like to go back? Anybody would have any choice? 2. Everybody will say version 2, version 3. Okay, thank you, guys. So let's go back to the version 3 as well as we'll go back to the version 2. So how do I do that? So you can use simple command, guys, called as roll back to the previous version. How to do that one? kubectl rollout undo deployment, whatever the deployment to revisions. So let me type it, kubectl rollout undo which deployment? Deployment slash k21 app to what revision? Yes. Which one you want to go? Third, right? So third is nothing but this is your third revision. So whenever you go back to this revision gets removed from this one and it becomes seventh revision. Now see here. So your application has been rolled back successfully to the version revision called as 3. You can see the history. Now 3 number has gone away and it has become a 7 number because this is your 7th revision. Now if you go to that one, if you go to my site now and try to see, you will get that version 3. Can you see? It has been successfully rolled back. Now if you feel that I want to go back to the revision 2, you can just put it here, revision 2. So now this one is getting executed, guys. This particular command is replica set is getting executed. And now you see here, you should be able to see version 2. Yes, it is coming. And now if you see here, guys, the replica set status. So replica set we should get set up to the second. Now look at this. Now this shows your fourth replica set is right now. Third replica set is active as of now. Okay, guys. Now, if you want to go back to the first revision also, you can check this one. And now you should be able to go back to the revision 1. Can you see? I got the revision 1 back. Again, you want to go back to some other revision, guys, you can do that one. Now, it is just a matter of changing it, right? So if you feel that, no, I want to go back to the revision number 8, you can go because this is your version 2.0. This is your version 3.0. You know, these are the images. Okay, so this is the way we can roll out and roll back, pause and resume the deployment. And that's it, guys.
Why none came? Can you please see that one?
This is the first deployment. It was not recorded as a which version image you are going to use because I used the YAML file to deploy this one, right? That's why that image is not coming here, version 1.0. So this is my first deployment,
Okay.
first rollout. Yeah. Okay, good. Now, playing with deployment parameters. This is a canary deployment is there, but actually I don't want to show you this right now. We will see that in the ingress controller discussion only. Okay, and you can delete the pods. Okay, guys. So now if you have any questions related to this particular topic, let me know. So first of all, I'll check out the chats if there are any questions, and then we'll talk personally, and then we'll go for the HPA. That is a fantastic topic again. Okay, so let me go to the chat box. Is there any specific answer that you want me to give, guys? ये बड़ा कैसे होगा? How to make it a little bit bigger? Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. This is something. Yeah. Okay, guys. Now, a lot of questions are there. In this diagram, scheduler and kubelet will communicate to schedule the pod. API, so scheduler will not talk to the kubelet at all. Always API server will talk to the kubelet.
No,
Do you have a definition?
Ramesh, the thing was like, the API server, yeah, YAML will talk to, will be handed over to API server. The API server will be scheduling it, right? The scheduler will talk to worker node kubelet, correct?
No. Scheduler will not talk to the worker nodes. Only API server will talk to the worker kubelets. Hmm. Do we have definition of pause, unpause, etc. already indicated by K2? Yeah, is it clear now, Abhinam?
No, I just want a definition of all, not only pause, unpause. You were talking about other things because the reason was like you say from pause to unpause and then unpause to start. So those life cycle and what are the definition? A written document should be there with K21 is what I'm understanding.
No, there is a presentation is there, and inside the presentation, all the information is documented, and as well as you have an activity guide. You can follow that one. Okay. So if you feel that there is no definition written somewhere, let me know that one. We can add it.
No,
Attach
I've
it to
not
it.
seen it, so I want to see that because I thought because I know you were talking about it because you know about it, but for me to digest it to see that definition was a realistic one. So that's the reason I asked. If you have any
No problem.
definition.
No, pausing is nothing but just holding the. See, what is the meaning of pausing and what is the meaning of stopping the application? When we pause the application, that application is there in the RAM. And when you make a modification in the application, when it is paused, you're making the changes when the application is in the RAM. But when you stop the application, that application is not in the RAM, it is inside the hard drive or storage. So these are the two important things you need to understand. Okay. So pausing, you are making changes in the RAM. So somebody will say that what happens when we pause the deployment, or somebody will say that what happens when I start the deployment, what happens when we stop the deployment, right? Like that one. So guys, this is very simple. When we are starting the application, it is coming into the RAM and application is getting served by the services or pods. When you are stopping it, that particular application will get removed from the RAM of that host. It will be in the inside the YAML file or some etcd database only. Nobody will be accessing it, right? And when you say that you are starting the application, or when you say that you are pausing it, actually nobody can access the application that time, which is, even though it is in the RAM, it is in the hold stage. It doesn't have any access outside. So if you want to change, you can make a modification inside that one, and once modification is complete, then you can resume back. Then that comes into start stage.
So meaning like the real definition should be like from a real time perspective, it is something to do with maintenance. Pausing means if I am doing a maintenance part of it, that would go into pausing state. Is that how I understand it right way?
Yeah, yeah, that way you can understand, correct. So if I want to
Okay.
make any modification, yeah, you can pause the application rather than stopping
And
it.
what about unpausing? You told we were talking about unpausing here.
Unpausing is the thing, but just removing the flag of the pause and bring it back to the
Isn't
resume
that a
state.
start? That's where isn't that a start or rollout or
It is just not rollout, basically. You can say it is already rolled out. There are problems. It is there inside the RAM already. You are stopping you are pausing the application to make a modification, and then when you start it, it will just remove the flag of the pausing. It will just resume the application where it is paused.
means unpause is something like a live scenario? Is it how I would understand or?
Yes, when you say that when you pause the application, it will not be accessible from the outside.
So unpausing is accessible from outside. Is it how I
Yes,
understand? Yeah.
yes, correct. Yeah.
So
Okay.
pausing will lead to a downtime, and once you have finished the job, you'll unpause it, which means it will bring to live again. Right,
Yes,
right, Ramesh?
correct. Absolutely correct.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like those are the definition is what I wanted to be clear as
All right,
administrator.
not yeah. If it is not there in the presentation documentation, or if it is not there in this one documentation, we can easily add. There is no problem.
I think
So
we
so
have already have a presentation on life cycle of a container. Start,
Yes,
stop, pause, unpause. Yeah.
right. It is there in that one, but there was not. I think that PPT. I will check it whether we can replicate the same PPT for the deployment as well.
okay. So the life cycle, Ramesh, is like, okay, deploy it, pause for maintenance, unpause it. So this is how it is, right? I mean, from a, from
Administrative
administrative.
perspective. Yes, yes, you are understanding it correctly.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ramesh, uh,
Mhm.
during the rollout or resume or pause during any phase,
Mhm.
once we move from V1 to V2, okay, when
Mhm.
during that period, none of the user will face the downtime, right? Till the time V1 pod is working, they will be served as V1, and once all the pod of V2 are up, then the V2 application would be served. Is it that way?
Correct. 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 Yes, absolutely
Okay, so
correct.
no downtime at all.
Yeah, version 1 will be there. Some pods will be running there as per your max surge
Okay,
and
so
max unavailable rolling out strategy.
correct, correct. So
Okay,
max
that
surge
makes
was
sense.
2 in our case. So it will
Ah,
like it will like create it was like 4, so it will create 2 new, then remove 2
huh.
older ones that way, right?
Correct, correct, correct. But what happened when I
Okay.
gave the wrong image? What happened when I gave the wrong image? The newly getting pod created, new pod which was getting created got into the error. But there
Error
were
state, right?
yeah, there were another 2 pods were there, so they were serving the version 1, and I was getting a version 1.
Correct, correct. Okay.
So in this case, pause will not be visible to outside world because it is just local to your system admin and just to fix the issue, right? Because you have 2 pods up and running and serving the request. Ramesh?
Correct, correct. In that case, it will not be.
Yeah.
In that case,
Okay.
outside world will not come to know. But if at all entire version, now you are in the version 2 and you want to pause that version 2, that time it
Hmm.
won't be accessible.
Okay.
So what does that mean? That, without that max search argument, okay,
Uh-huh.
you can't do version upgrade or
You
rollout?
should not. No, no, you should not do that without that one. At least you
Hmm.
should always keep some percentage of the pod running.
Yeah.
So,
Otherwise,
yeah.
there will be downtime.
Otherwise, there will be downtime. If you are saying that if you are using a recreate policy, then your entire application will go down. Go down. Neither your version 2
Hmm.
will be available, neither version 1 will be available. It will be in the mix mode. Okay. I think Gokul was asking something like really environment will use Docker Hub or any artifactory is advisable like Nexus from. I have not understood your question, Gokul. Can you ask me? Or is it clear?
Uh, so you just told that the Docker rubber we are using, right, for putting an image.
Right. Yes, yes, I use that one. I
So
use the Docker
is
Hub.
there advisable?
Yeah, this is
So
one of
instead
the.
of that, we can use any other artifact.
You can use anything. You can use
So I'm
anything.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the real environment, which one will be an advisement? Like the Docker Hub or any artifactory, we can use it.
Yeah,
So
it should be the
what you can
private.
suggest?
It should be the private one. It should be recorded one. It should be checked one. Your image, which is you are going to use, it should have thoroughly passed all the penetration testing, and it is standardized as per your documentation and the third-party evaluation. And then only you should keep it at the private place inside the remote repository, and it should be private, not public repository. You can create your own repository as well, or you can use GCR, or you can use ECR and other repositories too, in case you want to use. I hope that is clear,
Okay,
Gokul.
so in the real, okay,
Mhm.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Amrik Singh, I think you got the answer of this question, right? Can we do this rollout image change to version to 3 YAML file? Yes, we have done that. If I deploy all versions, then which version is shown? Abhiram, I think you got this, right? If I deploy all versions, the latest version will be shown, not the recent. Which one is the current version? It will be shown.
Okay, no, yeah, that's fine. But again, I was thinking, Ramesh, in terms of like instead of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 after that, I put 4.1, 4 and 4.1. So it's like a more of a numerical one. It'll go for 4.1 or practically, or is it?
Actually, people give the very different naming convention in the when you give the image naming convention, something like that. This is uh, app production 1 v 1.0.1. It depends on the organization to organization how you want to naming the version, how you are controlling the document of the versions. Depending on it is like that. Somebody will use version 1.0, somebody will use version 2.0, like that one. Somebody will say that no, version 1.0.1, 1.0.2, 1.0.3. That way also people will use the version. So it
Yeah,
depends
but
on the
again, in
organization.
that case, how do it will depict which is the latest one, whether it is a whole number or a decimal number. I mean, those the
Yeah,
depict.
it doesn't matter. It will be taking the last one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So even though if I put after 4 and I put 3 version, even though I put the latest 3, numerically it was
Correct.
less, still it will take the 3 one, right?
Yes, correct. Because you are using a version 3 image.
Okay, so the latest, okay, that logical, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Pause will impact running application. Yes, Vivek. I hope that Vivek, you got it right, Vivek.
Yes, I
Because
got the point, but thanks. But I do have one question on this.
Mhm.
Application is not paused, right? Since we got the answer, Anuj also told. I mean, we already discussed about that. The newer version having an issue, that is going to be having an issue, but the older version still run up and running, so the user will not going to have any impact.
Right. In the migration phase, if you are having a proper rollout planning strategy, so that time version 2, in case version 2 image is having some issue, some of the parts of the version will remain as running as it is. Version 2 will have impact. That means customer will not face any issue. But let's say you are rolled out to the version 2 and now something has gone wrong with the version 2 and you want to pause that application. If you pause the entire version 2, that time the customer will face the downtime because that time everything will be paused.
Right. Intentionally, if we do pause, right? I mean, let's say now that we have, let's say, 10 replica set deployment can maintain, right? As we know that 10 replica set, you told us, right?
Yeah, correct.
So if we have version 1, the first version, it is created by, well, let's say version history number 1, or
Mm-hmm.
and then we create another version with rollout, and it's created a history number 2, and then again history number 3. So now customer asking to revert back to the history number 1 version, right? In that
Right.
case, my question is this: that now that history number 1 replica set has 0 pod because it's already deleted and created a new pod with a new version, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct,
now
correct.
there is no there is no pods as such. Now customer wanting back to roll or revert back to the history number 0, which has 0 pod. In
Mm-hmm.
that case, I saw that it is going to create another replica set with history number 4 and create the same pods with the same image of 0, and but it will not going to create the pod into history number 0 replica set. It is going to create another replica set basically with
Mm,
the image 0. That's what it
okay.
is. You when
Okay.
I saw your screen, it was showing that it is not creating a pod in history number 0, which is a replica set 0. It is creating another replica set, or rather than it is creating a pod in the same replica set, it is creating another replica set with the version.
Okay. 1 second. So you are talking about
That's
the
what it
kit.
was happening, and when I saw your screen.
Let me just check it. Yeah, 1 second. We'll take this is very good stuff, guys. Let me check out whether this replica set number is getting changed or not. Can we see that? Right now we are on which version? 9 number. This is version 9, so that means it is my first version deployment actually. And now you can see here this is a K21. This is the right now this revision it is getting used. Let me use the again the command, same command again. I just want to verify. So this is 945 right now. It is getting used, right? This is a replica set. Now what I will do, I will just change it to the version 3. And version 3's replica set is something like, I think it will come 0, 1, 2, 3. I think this should come. Let's see. So we just want to check whether the replica sets are getting changed or numbers are getting changed or not. I feel it is not getting changed, but let me check out.
If that is the case, then we need to get 00 instead of 00. It will be 44 with the same replica set number DD.
1 second. This is what is version 3. I want to go here. And this is my 7 number, right?
So you should go, I think, for 3 minus 1, that is 2.
No, 7 number now see here. Yeah. Now it is coming to the DD199. So earlier it was, see this one, DD99. It is DD9. It is not changing the replica set.
Okay, so that means the pod will automatically create with the same replica set number.
Yes, same replica. Because if the same replica set is there, na, only then only it has that manifest with it. YAML file or its etcd pointer is always with that particular replica set. In case if you change the replica set altogether, then it will not point to the existing whatever the image is there in the etcd.
I
So
think it
even
is just
Everything
switching
will
over. It is
persist.
just switching over to the previous replica
replica sets.
sets. Yeah,
Yes,
it doesn't need to
correct.
create it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now
okay,
I will
thank
show
you.
you one thing. Yeah, this is again
So is it
interesting
like it is
stuff here.
persisting?
Yeah, it will persist. It will persist there. Replica set will remain there. Okay, till the time you delete, don't delete the deployments. Till the time that time, this replica sets will remain as it is. I will show you one more interesting thing, guys. Here, kubectl scale. Just watch this, guys. Huh? Watch it properly. Deployment slash k21 app, and I'm going to create a replicas of it to 0. What will happen now? This is my current application running. I'm making its all replica 0.
0 pods.
0 pods will be there. Now see the replica sets, completely 0.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if I again, and now if you see here, kubectl get pods, you will not see any spots there. Now, what I'm just increasing the replica now. See here.
So when you say replica 0, what does that mean? The application died?
I'm saying replica sets are there. Yeah, when I say replicas are 0, application is completely died.
Died. Okay.
Yes, there is no single pod, but that replica set points to the manifest which you have created by the way you have created that particular deployment. That information always is pointed by the replica set to the towards the etc database. Now it is guys started. Now see, you can see this is 2.
So when you say why
So
application
this
will die, why?
manifest
Because
file,
you are saying that the replica set is 0. That means it will not have any duplicates. But then the original, I mean, whenever you create a pod, right? Okay, by default, one container, at least one container will up and running, right?
The configuration details of the pod which is deployment which is deployed by the deployment whose replica set is this one. Even though you make this 0, its manifest will be available or pointed by this replica set. You have
Uh,
created a different deployment, you have changed the deployment, you have made some changes, and the new replica set has been created. Now this is pointing to the manifest of this pod which is running inside this one. So every replica set is pointing to some manifest. Its unique manifest is there.
okay.
When I say manifest,
So
is
why?
nothing but YAML.
Yeah, why it is necessary to maintain the replica set? I mean, because you have different revisions, right? So we can always roll back or roll out to different versions from
Revision,
revisions.
revisions are dependent on this replica sets only.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't
so it's a
have
1:1 relation that each revision has its own replica set.
every deployment has its own replica set.
No, no,
Here,
each revision has its own replica set.
Yeah.
yes, correct. Yes, absolutely correct. Each revision has its own replica set. Cool. Good. Thank you, guys. I hope that everybody has got the clear understanding of it. But let me see if there are certain questions still need to be answered.
So Ramesh,
Yes,
deployment is controlling replica set, right? So that means the dependency is not like replica set 0 means that doesn't mean that is gone. It is still available under deployment in manifest in as etcd databases. So whenever we want to come back, deployment will go to control. Hey, I want older version. That means older replica set. So it's going to
Yes.
create a new pod into older replica set which has 0 pods, but it will going to use the same manifest, same information. Everything will be same. Only thing the deployment will use the manifest which has the older version and which has the older replica set. It creates a pod into that specific replica set.
Absolutely correct. Very good. Very good
So the
understanding.
base version will always be there for every revision.
Right. Base version will be there. Whatever the new version you have created, it is independent. It is a different version altogether, right?
Different version, yeah.
Different version altogether. So there is no relation actually between these two versions. Replica sets are managing the different versions. Okay, guys.
But at any given moment of time, we can maintain only 10 versions, right?
Yes, that is what the limitation of this deployment you can say.
So when the 11th version will come, the first version will be deleted automatically.
Yeah, it will be deleted. That replica set will get deleted.
Okay.
So
And
it
that
will
is
be,
fine, I think, right? That is fine, right?
yeah,
Because
correct,
if
correct.
you are managing the 10 versions of the applications, I think 10 revisions normally people will not go.
But we want to preserve the number one golden copy, which is a base copy, let's say, to history number one replica set not to be deleted. Let's delete the other 1 to 9, but let's say the 0 number replica set or 1 number is still to be preserved.
You have to just maintain your YAML file. That's it. Image and YAML file. You can recreate anytime. Even though there is no replica set of it, if I have just my YAML file, original YAML file, and image of that one, I can create the deployment any point of time.
Yeah.
Ramesh, is there any
One
way
second,
out
guys.
to
Go ahead.
yeah, is there any way out to change this configuration anywhere so that we can means that we can keep more than 10 versions?
You need to define the custom resources, right? So that we'll see slowly, guys.
Okay.
Possibility is there. Everything is possible in this world. Okay. But you need to define the custom resources. You should know how to do the create your own custom resources, right? So that is little bit. We are still on the version 1.0. We need to reach to the version 10. I think that time we'll be able to do that. Cool, guys. So let's move ahead. And I think Abu is asking something. Vivek's answer I have given. Rishi, I think I have given the answer. If 4.1 is the last version, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it's clear. Thank you.
Yeah. Pause will impact running application. Yes, we have discussed Vivek. Abu is saying after doing a new rollout, will the older files rollout is still accessible from YAML? Yes,
Yeah.
we have seen Abu, right? Abu, is this question clear to you now?
You said it will be deleted, is it? Like any rollout, the older one would.
It will be still accessible. You can go back to the older version. You can revise to that, and you can change by using YAML file as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is always good to go to the revision numbers, right? Rather than changing the YAML files. It is always better option. It is advisable option. Don't go through the YAML files. Oh. Okay, I think Abhiram, we have discussed about this one. Okay, version 2, 3, thank you. Anuj has asked a lot of questions. Anuj, have we discussed this or still I need to take any question?
I think we have not. No, we have not, I think.
Okay, what is the base deployment strategy?
Second one we have, so we can skip the second one. So the first one is, and you can again park this aside if you think you're planning to cover this in next sessions. So there are scenarios wherein you have two versions, but there are no functional changes. It's just, performance optimization, and you want to run both of them in parallel over the period of time, and then gradually shift to the latest version. So is there any strategy to have this?
So that is called as a blue-green deployment.
Okay, let's
right?
park this. Yeah. Let's
That is
park
a
this
blue.
because you're gonna cover.
Yeah.
Cool. Second one you have so pause, you have covered this. Third one, what does so rollout, it just came out of blue. So generally what extra does it do? Because when you create a deployment, that itself will deploy your application. Is it like tagging, as in when you deploy, you tag it with version 1, then you tag it with version 2, that sort of thing?
No, when you create a new rollout, that means you have changed something in the image. You have changed the image or you have changed some functionality of the version 1. So, and you have created a new image out of it. And so now you want to roll out the new version of your application with some new changes inside. So when you roll out the new application using the same deployment controller, it creates a new replica set. So this is a new thing happen. So new replica set will maintain the desired state of the new version of the application. That is nothing but a new rollout.
So if I, let's say I don't use rollout and I just have another version and I'll just simply create a new deployment, how does that differ to having a rollout strategy in place?
It is same thing. It will also create a new replica set.
Yeah, so is it just the tagging? By using rollout, we are actually tagging that deployment, just like we tag our branches when it goes to production or release.
So if you are asking about the nomenclature point of view,
Uh-huh.
that is okay. That is fine. But if you are using a YAML file to create a new rollout, or you are just using a command line to create a new rollout, both of them are the same functionality.
But then, Ramesh, there is one difference, right? As Anu said, okay, for a new revision, if altogether he's creating a new deployment, okay, then he don't have that option of coming back to the previous version because the replica sets were maintained for individual deployments. So if
No,
you
no.
Samantha, I don't think that there's a new deployment. It's a new version in the same deployment name. Deployment name is not changing.
Yeah,
Deployment is
that's
not
what I meant.
changing. Yeah. Deployment
okay, so
name.
you are so for a new version, a new revision, you are not changing the deployment. You are just, I mean, you are maintaining the same deployment, right?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Correct. Yeah, Anuj, is that clear about the difference between the deployment?
I'll probably get my head around it. Not very clear, but that's fine. I'll get my head around it. The last one, yeah, if you can take a look. So basically, it looks, it's basically we have covered the sunny day scenarios wherein it's just an application roll out, roll back. What about it comes down to a database level, because whenever you have major version changes, your database schema will apparently change. And how do we actually roll back to the previous version of database? How does that work?
So basically, scenario is the same. Only thing is, rather than using the deployment, which is a stateless deployment, you should use a stateful deployment. So stateful deployment discussion, we'll do this in the upcoming sessions.
Okay.
But
Okay.
the point here I want to tell you that rollout and rollback of even the database application will be the same way, but you can use a stateful state of the application.
Agree. Why?
Okay.
Because in case of
So
databases also, okay, because as we see here, the base versions are being stored. Okay,
Mhm.
they remain even though you mention the replica set as 0. Still, the base version remains there. Okay,
Yes,
and
yes,
no,
yes.
every database or every application is having a base image. Okay, so anytime if you want to go to the previous version, you can always do that.
I was coming from a data file perspective. I understand from replica set, but data file will be different because apparently you are changing the schema. So this means that you need to actually maintain your previous version of data file somewhere on the
You
volume,
have
and then yeah,
Yeah, you have to maintain the persistent volume. So whenever you create when you are creating a new rollout, okay,
yeah.
so you have to define that volume strategy properly inside that one.
Okay,
And
So
on
and
you
top
can
of
let's
it,
cover this in the next session, right? So you can park this.
yeah, and
Mhm.
I think on top of it, okay, even though it is when it comes to data perspective, okay, whenever you are hosting a database, okay, inside a container, okay, you will be having regular backups every day for a database.
No,
Okay, so
that is that
mhm,
is absolutely correct. What is his question? Anush's question is,
mhm,
uh, what the way I understood it now. Let's say in version one we are using, let's say, slash data as a volume. I'm just considering one example.
okay,
And if there is some data set is there are some important data files are there, and now when you are creating a version 2 and there are certain changes happen, so now whether if you want to carry the same volume towards the second
Yeah,
content, second image or second version or not, how you are going to plan that one, that is what his question is.
that's the one.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
got it.
So in that one, what I was my answer was that my answer is that, so when we have defined the version 1 YAML file for creating a version 1 rollout, and when you are thinking about rolling out the version 2, thought you have to think very carefully what exactly you are changing. Okay, You may need to create a different volume group and copy and migrate the data from one volume group to another volume group and then attach it to the new version. That may be also need to be done. So it depends on the scenario, what is that scenario there. But of course, yes, we need to take care of it with the help of maybe a dynamic provisioning persistent volume, or maybe your NFS kind of stuff, that we'll see the what are the different volume types are there. But you need to
Okay.
think from that angle. Yeah.
But
Cool.
then
So this will be
Ramesh,
But
covered.
one thing, Ramesh,
Yeah.
here I think the major version upgrades of any let's say OS version, or maybe deploying exactly the new version of Nginx, or it's a major change, right? So we need to take a lot of
Yes.
dependencies and prerequisites and all those kind of things has to be taken care. But yes, if you have an application on top of your image, just like your web application has just small modification, I think in that case, this rollout, this version histories are more better to
I'll give an
do those,
yeah, and
right?
I got your understand. I got your question, but let me tell you one example, if I'm not wrong. Facebook releases 100 versions every day
Hmm.
because of the CI/CD pipeline. Everything is automated. If they want to change the content, if they want to change the color, if they want to change the functionality, the developers do that one, and that once the source code is committed to the some repository, immediately from that one, the image will be created, container will be created, pod will be created, application will get deployed with the help of testing as well. Now this era, you can think about a couple of years back, or also now also many people are doing releases, right? Some software development company do the releases now. So it is a big event in the organization when we do the releases, right? We always say
Ramesh,
that
I need to understand one thing here, that
uh,
whenever we are changing a
so,
small changes in the same image, let's say
uh,
I have one image, right, Nginx, and
hmm,
now I have a web application running. I'm saying that my today's date is this. Tomorrow days, today is we have Wednesday, let's say. So the only small changes on the same image, same application, just changing a little bit of one page of the application. Do I need to create a image first, or do
yes.
I can just create a war file on same image? I'm a little bit confused here. Why we need to create an image separately to just to make one small change?
No, if it is just a small changes, and if you are able to make changes in the your WAR file or HTML file or PHP file, that's fine. You can keep it in the volume and you can manage it, right? But if at all you want to roll out the new version, you can think about creating an image out of it so that you don't have to again make changes into it.
Okay.
I think this is best practice, Vivek, to have a new image whenever it is going live, so you can easily keep track of what was live last time.
Live last time, right? Huh.
Yeah.
That can, yeah, that.
Ramesh, what would be your suggestion if as an application support guy, if I get
Mhm.
the deployment in terms of war file, okay. So if I get
Mhm.
war files every weekend, if say I deploy a new war file, so what should I do? Should I keep it in a while creating an image? I'll give an command that copy this war file to this like web apps folder, okay, and then deploy the new pods, or what should I keep that in the
So,
persistent volume so that it get picked up every time when I create a new pod?
so I'll tell you one thing. If, as I told you just now, if you are making some changes in the files only, so you can keep at the some location, right? You can persistent volume or some other location and map that to the container, right? That is one way, right? But if it
Okay.
is, if you are going to change in the application level, right? There are certain functionality changes are there, some model changes are there. So then it is
Hmm.
not wise decision to keep inside the wall, right? So you can create an image out of it so that let create a new pod, container, and then get new pod created out of it. But what is my suggestion? In case some changes are there which are not functional, content changes are there, you can keep at the some common location, and that volume can be mapped to the container, or
So,
I mean
so
that
the
container.
example can be a static page, which rarely change.
Yes, see, your source code should be always inside some volume. Okay. Uh, or dynamic source code, or you can say something. It should be always inside the volume, right? And if you are creating a container, what you are exactly creating a container, what exactly you are doing it? You are installing the operating system, you are installing the, let's say, base software package, let's say Python or Java, and on the top of, you are saying that in my location called as var www.html location, copy my code. So why should, when we create a container, we should not, we should just say that copy, we should not say that copy from this one, we should map the volume to it. Are you getting it? So that your source code will remain inside the host file, or inside the, let's say, your EBS, or inside the something PV, physical volume, right? So data should remain intact always, and it should be at the different location altogether other than the containerization. What is a version change? Version change is nothing but you have done some modification in the operating system layer, you have changed the environmental parameters of the application, you have updated the version of your Python, you have done some modification, small modification inside that one. The basic framework of a basic framework image should always get recreated, okay, when you are doing the version changes, not the data.
Okay, got it. So it's only OS related changes. If the application data, it is persistent always.
Yeah, it should be always persistent. We should never keep in the container. That should be in some volume always.
And
Also,
that
just to
volume.
add, yeah, go on.
Sorry, Anuj. So also the volume which is been mapped, right? Okay. So even though the version changes, okay, but then it is still going to use the persistent data which is hosted in that volume, right?
Yes. Yeah. Data is
Until
data.
unless until unless the application team or the business wants you to wants a change in the data itself, which happens rarely, okay, but then until unless that requirement is there, okay, it always, I mean, mostly for these kind of revision changes, okay, we maintain the data, okay, and only functional changes are going to happen from one revision to another.
Correct. That is absolutely correct. Functional or
Sorry,
operating system layer, or environmental type of the situation, the parameters you can update it in the container, and you can create a new file out of it, image out of it. Yeah.
just to add, someone was saying dealing with war. So dealing with war, jar file is again going ahead with the monolith way of dealing with applications, because you might actually introduce some new environment variables as part of this new war. So it's ideally good to stick to images. That's one point. Correct me if that's not correct, Ramesh.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. Second point is, I'm assuming you will be covering this stateful deployment bit in the next sessions, right?
Correct. Absolutely correct. Yeah, I will be covering that.
Okay, cool. I've got one more question. Is there a command we can run to check, the deployment versions and their status, whether it was successful or failure?
No, that we can see by using a rollout status. You can check
Okay.
it. Rollout status command is there, that you can see
Okay.
here.
All right. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, I hope that kubectl rollout. What was that command? Status, right? It is showing so successful rollout, but if you use the history command, you should be able to see here all the details of it, and it shows you here. One second,
But
let me.
it doesn't show if it was successful or failure. You have to figure it out. Oh, this version was failure, and how do we do that? Like
Yeah, so
55, the version 5 was failure.
that you have to do in the description only. You will get inside the describe. Even though events doesn't capture that. Yeah, it is showing. Yeah, it is showing here. Right, correct.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is
Okay,
showing here. Yeah, it is showing here.
cool. All right, thank you.
Yeah, guys, good. I hope that I tried, but I have still not given you this yesterday's promise. I have not kept to create the replica sets, guys. Okay, now.
One thing,
Uh,
Ramesh, can you paste the history of commands to the chat box, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Now let me see if I have covered all the questions. Um,
Ramesh, just sorry, one question. I don't know whether it's a valid or not. Can I
Mhm.
ask?
Yeah,
We say
please.
HCD. So we say that everything gets stored in HCD, right? So a version, replica, whatever we are doing, whichever comes to the API server, request whatever comes from kubectl to our API server, everything goes to etcd, and then depending upon the requirement, it will call scheduler everything. Okay. So it's like, can we fetch, like as we discussed, like we can process only 10 versions. Okay. So since I assume like everything get processed in etcd, so can we, like suppose if we are on 12th version, so can we fetch the first one from etcd?
From that city. So actually we are doing it from that city only, right? If you see, it is coming from
No,
the
no,
etc, right?
no. What I'm
But
saying is,
if you want, yeah, I got it. Now what you are asking, you have a database called as a etcd, and can we take a backup of it? Yes, we can take a backup of it. Can we restore it? We can restore it. Okay, but specifically if you want to read the key and value parameters of it, or if you want to read the contents of that one, then we have to check what kind of database etcd is using, right? Then we have to mount that, we have to map to the database, and then we can extract the value. Right now it is just in the pod. We have to log in into the pod of the etcd. We have to see which database it has used.
so in
Then we
our
can,
case, we can find out.
yeah, see, if you are able to log in inside the pod, then you can find out easily. I'll show you that
No,
one
no,
second. I will
yeah, yeah.
not show you the how to find out, but let me see if I
No,
can log in inside it.
no, it's okay. If this is blocking our stuff, then we can proceed for the, maybe you can plan sometime else. But yeah,
But
uh,
one thing is that in case you are thinking about, you just have a one look, and I will not take that one, but for just to guide you in this particular question, this is my etcd master. This is my pod. Okay, try to log in once the session goes gets completed. Try to log in inside that one and see what type of the database it has, because we don't know what is there inside the etcd master right now. Okay, precise.
okay, okay. Yeah, thank you. That helps. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. All right. So now I think I answered the questions of the these questions of the Anuj. Then there was a Kamlesh Shelar. Do we have the date and time of deployment? I think it is not Kamlesh. We can get the information from the revision wise. Okay. Any rollback in production will have any impacts to such using such commands? No, as such, no. In case you have a problem with the before the production, we should always test it somewhere else in the testing environment, and then only go for the production. However, if the image is running perfectly fine, there should not be problem. But with the command, the set of the commands which are used, there is no problem with that.
Also,
Nilesh is
the
asking,
so Ramesh, the session on all those. I mean, there won't be any interruption for user, right? I mean, if ideally everything is fine, it should switch over to the required image, right?
right.
I mean,
So
which,
basically, we should follow the deployment strategies such as blue, green, or canary deployment for this one,
okay,
right? So use that one, then there is no issue,
okay,
because we are slowly migrating, right? Not
yeah, yeah,
and one go we are deleting the pods. Yeah.
yeah. Got it.
Nilesh is asking, is there any option to check with the yeah, Nilesh, I think we have discussed about this, right? We can check in the events, we can check in the describe option. Okay. Anuj is saying, is there any command to check the status of deployment versions if it was successful? I think we got
You
it,
have,
right?
yeah, yeah. Just yes, please ignore it. Thank you.
Sumanta is asking, what is the difference between Docker file and YAML file? I think they are same. No, Docker file syntaxes are different, Sumanta. YAML file is different.
So YAML file we basically use to deploy a pod, right?
Yeah,
Array
YAML file is used for deploying the pod, as well as we can deploy the container. Do you know? I mean, the Docker
container,
Compose.
yeah,
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 we have used the YAML file only.
yeah.
But
But then,
Docker file is used for creating a container, and Docker file has a standard keywords which we can use to create the image. We have to use
okay,
run, copy, all that stuff. We don't
okay,
have to
okay, got
use the tabbing, indentation, or that kind of the key value
that kind.
basis is not there.
Okay.
Okay. When it comes to version change of the application, we can change the image version for deploying the application. Then what is the meaning of?
So when it comes to version change of the application, right? okay, we can change the image version for deploying the application rather than, you know, I mean, how can I
Now it
explain this?
depends. Now it depends.
Yeah.
You administrator or developer will maintain their image versions,
Okay.
and when you are deploying the application, you have to maintain your application in case you are at that position when you are in the deploying the production. You are deploying the application in the production, so you are definitely whoever maybe the documentation engineer will ask you that what document version I should give. So
Okay.
image version need to be maintained, application version need to be maintained. These are the two
Maintain.
different things.
Okay.
So
So,
in one version of the application, I can have a multiple versions of the images also. That also you can
okay.
make.
Okay.
Yeah. So the deployment is not interactive. What is this? This is we can't see how it pulls images and all that. Oh no, we can check this one. We can see in the describe event of the deployment that it shows that now this particular image has been pulled. Now a container is created.
Yeah,
It
but
shows.
then it is not interactive like we use it to whenever we deploy an image, right, or a container, okay,
No,
from
no.
Docker Hub or something. It is interactive, right? Okay, it shows you that what all activities it is doing. It is, if locally a image is not available, then it is pulling from Docker Hub and all that, right? So it is
All
not
right.
like that. I mean, yeah, it is just, once it finishes, it will tell you that it finished.
Yeah, you are asking something called a verbose, right? We have a
Verbose, yeah,
verbose.
yeah, yeah.
I think I have not seen that till now. We'll see that if there is tab option available for it. I'll check it.
Okay, and there is no event log also where I can see on the back end, okay, what exactly it is doing.
No, it is there. It is there.
Is
You
there?
can go
Okay, okay.
inside the var lib region of the
Uh-huh.
Kubernetes. You will get that one. There are
Okay,
specific logs that there. Yeah, you can check
okay,
that one.
okay.
Okay, now what is the significance of record argument? Yeah, record argument will say that this is my revision 1, revision 2, and it actually shows you the which version or which command you have fired.
Okay.
So if I don't use the let's say record statement, then it just shows me this kind of stuff: kubectl rollout history for deployment slash k21 app. Now you see here it is showing none, right? Because I have deployed it with the help of deployment file. But
Deployment YAML
all
file.
other statement has been all other statement has been recorded. So it shows
Okay,
that which image has been used, which image has been used.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Why it is maintaining the RS versions? Is there a specific
Okay,
question behind
I think that is been answered. I already asked that question. So
why we
yeah.
can't see? Okay, fine. Okay, why can't we can't see all the revision that is from revision 1? I hope that
So
this got
yeah,
cleared up.
yeah, yeah. So when he says revision, right? If you see now on the screen, it says 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, but then it is not showing you the actual version of the image. So actual version, I think you can get from the description, right?
No, you can see here. You see here. This is version.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. I mean, it is showing you in the description rather than in the revision, basically. Okay.
This is showing me the revision only, rollout history.
Right. But then on revision number 10, okay, what version, okay, you have rolled out, okay, that you can see from the description. Basically that,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
can
have one more
re-verify from
question.
this.
Yeah, I have one more question. If I want to, because for every revision, it is maintaining the replica sets, right? Okay. Where exactly I can find the OS files or the actual replication set data at OS level, in which file system it is
You have to
located?
go to the worker. We have to go to the worker node to check it. So I'll
Oh,
show you
okay.
that. So if I go here, good question actually. Let me show you. Worker 1. Are you administrator?
Yeah.
That's why.
Hmm.
Okay. I am inside. Sorry guys. I need to use Ubuntu user ID.
What was the question, Ramesh?
Where you will find all this information about the replica sets and everything. Other than he's asking about the OS layer. So just one second. Let me check out. Yeah, I'm inside the one of my worker node, that is worker one.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
see here, df-h. What do you see here? This one. What is this var lib docker?
Oh, these are different layers, right?
These are the file partitions for each container.
Partitions. Each container. Okay.
Each container which is there in each pod.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to see anything, you can go here and just check it. You'll get all the file systems which is inside the container.
Okay. So what I'm thinking is if I can take a backup of this file system itself.
If I delete,
okay, OS level.
If I delete the container, this mount point will also go away.
No, that's what I'm saying. If I have scheduled a backup at file system level, okay, then you doesn't matter whether you delete the deployment or the container. Okay, I can restore it, and I can go get the whole thing, right?
You're right, but the one thing is that I think it is not required. You need to take a backup of the data only. Where is data? This is there in the image. Your
This
container
is
image,
okay.
yeah, container image is there, right? If you have a container image in the remote repository, then you don't have to take a backup of the containers.
Right,
Okay?
right. Because
You have
the
to take a
whole
backup of
configuration is there in image. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
The only thing is you don't have to, you have to take a backup of data. That is important.
The volume.
Yeah, right. Wherever your data is.
Wherever data. Is. Okay.
Ramesh, isn't like we have all those files in the repo? That's what need to be backed up, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, images which are there that need to be kept at safe places in case somebody play with that image, then every product, then it will be a problem, big problem. So we need to keep the images at safe places. So you have to take a backup of the repo, and the data, actual data of the customer is available inside the database. But that where is that database file? Let's say you are using Oracle database in the container, and where you will get that particular data, some file. So that file is mounted on some volume, right? And you have to take a backup of that volume. That is very important.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And on top of it, in the volume itself, if I'm hosting a Oracle database, then what all configuration files I may need to create the base the base image of the database. Okay, that I can keep it in the same mount. Okay, so tomorrow if the database crashes, also I can use them and rebuild my database.
Yes. If you have image and if it is at safe place, no problem. You can use it again.
Okay, got it.
You can if you want to keep it as a volume, or if you keep it at repository, that's fine.
All right. So somebody asked about
so Ramesh,
please go ahead.
Somebody asked what is the question?
no, I think I interpreted.
No, that's
Sumanta,
okay.
you can go ahead.
Okay, fine. So Ramesh, somebody asked about war file. So what is a war file? I don't understand. What is war file?
Is there any Java guy here? Java person?
Yeah, so it's basically your web application is sort of packaged in a WAR file, and that you can ideally deploy on the web containers, web servers.
Okay.
Which is the old way of dealing with it. In the new world, you don't deal with WAR file. You package them in an image and provide the image. The pain earlier used to be, most often, it's like, this is working on my machine, but it's not working on production or on test machine, and that's because you mess around with the configurations. So what we are doing now is giving the image which runs on the developer's machine. You deploy it anywhere, it will have all the dependency covered.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Just to add, Sumanta, you said database crash. It is very unlikely because you will always be running multiple database instances in parallel, right?
If you are running in cluster, otherwise maintaining a database is a big deal.
Yeah, if it is a rack, then we have the multiple nodes. But if it's a single node, then yeah, it's only a single point of
single point of failure. Yes.
Yeah, but generally, if it is it's a very critical application. Is it advisable to have only one database instance running at the moment?
We have a data guard environment also. Okay, where data will be replicated, overnight. Okay, so that you don't have to maintain that, because Oracle is not a small fish. Okay, for if you go and buy rack, okay, the license cost will be high.
Yes, that is true.
And we have a
guys,
golden gate now, which is advanced version, then data card, so which helps in replicating your databases.
Yes.
all right, guys, that is a good discussion. Let me move ahead
So
with the next
one
question.
thing, last point maybe. So I think Anuj, I understand what you're saying, war file and all things. We need to create a new image because it's still not a OS related; it's an application related, right? Still, we need to create an
Yeah.
image so that better to have all dependencies into one container. But
Yeah.
what about let's say you have a dependency is not within the container, but outside we have multiple containers, configuration files which are dependent on different containers, like 5 or 6 different databases and application OS and multiple applications are correlated to each other. There's a heavy dependency integration wise, right? So in that case, those configuration file might not be suitable to put as an image. We need to put some kind of persistent volume where we can put those configuration file as a persistent data.
Okay, good. That is a good discussion. All right, got it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we can
Yeah,
discuss
we
this
can.
further, but
Yeah,
there's
we
something
can
called
discuss it
circuit
later.
breaker as well. If you have a dependency and the
Anuj,
dependent things is not available. But yeah, let's not kill our time now on this.
yeah, we'll discuss it further later on. That is a very good discussion. Actually, at the Oracle point of view, if you have to discuss, it has a really big stuff to discuss. Okay, guys, I want to discuss about, yes, Saladin is saying that pause is like sleeping. We can say like that one, pause is like sleeping. Uh, guys, we are about to take a break. Surender is saying that when we are moving from version 1 to version 2, we are having a 10 pods. When customer is present on pod 1 and terminating and creating a new pod at this time, customer will lost his data. Yes, if the somebody is trying to access the pod, current transaction will get lost. That's it. If the current transaction is there, if that transaction is not sticky, there is a concept called as a draining concept is there. Draining concept is not, what is the draining concept? Unless and until that transaction is not completed, it will not allow you to terminate the pod. So it gives you a some time. There is a time, some time need to be specified that how much time you want, or if there is any transaction going on, you just enable that draining facility, right? So that is the kind of thing. Otherwise, if that facility is not there, then that bit transaction will be lost. Otherwise, that pod will get unavailable. The moment that pod gets unavailable, there is another pod which is going to serve that request.
So it is
Okay.
application level setting, right?
Yes, this is basically load balancer level setting.
Okay, thank
you.
Got it, Ramesh. This is Surendra. So from the same question, so definitely we do have any session replication between the pods to pods at this time.
Pod to pod replication, you are saying, right?
Yes.
We can keep that pod to pod replication also. Yes.
Oh, we do have. Okay, sounds good. So
yes.
If the terminator has happened, but still the session from the customer will be present. So again, the session was terminated from the pod 1, but whatever the customer came to the same the cluster can whatever the replication data will is there. So from that moment, he can move on that page, right? So there is no loss of
Yeah,
that's
yes,
what I
yes.
want.
If there is a replication is there properly working, then there is no loss of data as such.
Yeah. Okay. One more question, Ramesh. As you said that the images, we do have the multiple of images we can save in the Docker Hub or any container. So each image can be maintained as a separate YAML files or no need of the separate YAML files.
Image is something different. Okay, and
Yeah,
YAML file.
images.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are creating a YAML file, and that's what I'm saying. So when you create image v1, so should we need to create any YAML file like the version v1, something like that? We don't need that, right?
No, we don't need that one. While creating the image, we don't need it. It is a Docker file which creates the images.
Yeah, got it.
And in that Docker file, you can maintain the version. That's fine. You can write the author and version there.
Yep. So all the images is present over there. So when we are deploying first time, so just we create a kubectl create -f and creating of a YAML file, right? One. Okay. The second time deployment. So instead of going as in a versions like just whatever you get the command line basis, yeah, rollout. And instead of that one, I can change in the YAML file and the version name pointing to the second version of the image, and we can create the same command like kubectl create -f, and we can deploy that one, right?
Right. You can use
We can
apply.
do that way also. Apply.
We can use
Yeah.
apply command. Yeah, right. Yeah, correct.
Okay, we can do that way also. Okay.
Yes.
At the time, should we need to maintain in the YAML file versions like, hey, this is version v1 belongs to the image one, and v2 is belongs to the image two. Something like the YAML files also we need to maintain.
Inside the YAML file, you can label and you can give the annotations to maintain the versions.
Oh,
so
okay, then that's the way we need to maintain it. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So even if you describe the deployment, in that one you will get that what is the image annotation and everything you can find out.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have multiple versions running within the multiple zones? Rishi, what is this question actually you are asking? Can we have multiple versions running in? Are you talking about the AWS or some cloud service provider? What exactly the question is? Okay. If you are there, you can ask me this. We can speak about it. But right. Okay, guys. I think that's it, guys. This questions has been answered. Let's take a break for 10 minutes. And once we come back, we'll start with another fantastic topic called as autoscaling.
Ramesh, that event command is not that. That's the only thing. Because I know you put the history. The event was the one which was indicating it. What is error? So I was checking that history, but event didn't come up.
1108. Let me put all other commands also. Without forget, please take this command, guys. This is important.
But anyways, Piyush will be updating that to the portal, right?
Yes. Actually, there is a problem with the GoToMeeting. You can't paste so many commands in the chat window. That's why I think only the 1108 command you can see.
1108, no?
So, yes. I will upload tomorrow. I will upload day 10, 9 and 10 for all the chat logs, all the history commands. Tomorrow I will upload on the portal with the session recording.
Most of the same commands are there. Most of the time you will see same commands again. Thank you. Okay, guys. All right, guys. Let's take a break for 10 minutes, and once you come back, we'll have the scaling topic. Okay, thank you. You can start the this one. Game Duck. Piyush is going to start it. Let's see who wins that. You stop the recording and Piyush.
Yes, I'm doing it.
Please.
This conference will now be recorded.
It's beautiful game, right, guys? Cool. You're enjoying. That's yes. People will give the door to it. Something will come across you. Okay, don't worry about it. I hope that everybody's back now. So we want to start the new topic called as Autoscaler. So Sonali is asking about the one question that since he has asked the question, what does kubectl apply command do? It does the same thing, Sonali, like if you want to create a deployment or pod, you can use apply command. If it is not there, existing pod is there, not there, or existing deployment is not there, it will create one. And if you have existing deployment, then it may change the configuration of the existing deployment or pod.
So we have
Is
to go through certain series of kubectl apply command and then do a kubectl create command again.
No, you have to always, when you are creating a new deployment, you have to use create. If you are modifying anything in that YAML file and again reapplying it, you have to use apply.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonali. Okay, all right, guys. Let's move ahead with the autoscaling now. Do lots of hands-on, guys. It will help you. Okay, so autoscaling. All right, guys. So normally you have seen this scaling, right? We have used this command multiple times, and you know what I'm talking about. So let's say this is my deployment K21, and I want to scale it. So how do I scale this one? I can use simple command called as a kubectl scale, or I can change in the YAML file, or I can edit this deployment also. So there are 3 to 4 different ways are there by we can increase it, right? So kubectl scale deployment slash whatever the name of the K21 is there, and you can just write here replicas. Let's say you want it 5. This is the one you are scaling. So you are doing it manually, right? Now let's say another way to change the scale it is kubectl edit deployment slash K21 app. This way also you can modify it, right? You can see here somewhere it is written that yeah, replicas are 5. I would like to make it, so let's say that I want to make it 7. That's it, right? So I think nowhere else it is showing to change. Let me save it. And now you see here kubectl get pods, and you should be able to see that there are 7 pods running. What is another way? Third way that you can change you can scale or scale down is you can open the YAML file, and you can just modify that, right? What is what? My YAML file was vi rollout, right? So I can, instead of this 7 are there right now, I can make change here. Let's say I want to make it 10. I can deploy this. Now this time I will use kubectl apply -f rollout.yaml, and now you see that it has configured it. So all these things are manually doing it, right? We are doing it manually. Now the problem is this. Okay.
One question, Ramesh. So when you do this deployment, it goes to different worker nodes. So if you see -o while you will see the worker nodes, and is it possible that you can put it into different worker nodes?
You have to hold your question. I will answer your question at the end of the
Yeah,
discussion.
please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I request you. Okay,
Thank
please.
you. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No problem. You put the question in the chat box. It will be great. Okay, guys. So let's say that I have deployed some pods in the worker nodes, and now we have certain pods inside it. Okay. I will go slow to explain you guys. This is a pod 1 of the same application. I have another pod here as well on the worker 2. Or you may have 4 pods. Let's say there are 2 pods here and 2 pods here on worker 2. Now there is a service here, and through this service you are able to access the application, maybe load balancer or whatever it may be. right, through this one, and it is going fine. But suddenly what happened, guys, due to the nice marketing and everything of the company, lot of load has been increased. Concurrent users has been increased. And that is good for business. But what happened actually? These 4 pods which were there, they are not enough to process the requests which are coming from the customer. So your manager says that, your boss says that, just scale up it. So what you do, you just go and you can fire it manually. After all, it is a resource. It will consume the resources, right? It is a cost. So later on, what happened in the evening time, the customer load has decreased. But you have scaled up the application. Let's say there are 5 pods are running. They will be running as it is. They will be eating up resources. Okay, again tomorrow morning, new load came. Again, boss says that these 6 pods are not enough or 5 pods are not enough. Scale up to 2 more pods. Again, you go and manually add that, right? Between the afternoon lunchtime, again the load goes down, right? But still your pod remains same. The same costing is going on. Guys, can you do something like this one? That my threshold value is 70%. Let's say I have a 70% threshold value. If I have only 1 pod or 2 pods, let's say, and if the CPU utilization of this particular 2 pods goes beyond 70%, then add 1 more pod. It can be added on worker 1 or worker 2, that doesn't matter. If the cumulatively, if the 3 pods per CPU percentage utilization goes more than 70%, add 1 more pod. Add 1 more pod. That way you can do. But suddenly, if you say that if my utilization comes below 70%, then remove these pods. We don't want, we just want 2 minimum pods. So that whenever CPU utilization goes high, you add a pod. Whenever CPU utilization goes down, you remove the pod. So whenever your load is decreased, percentage of the CPU will get down and your pods will also get reduced. So resource utilization will also go down. So consumption will be less and cost will be reduced. It is similar like called as scaling up and scaling down, right, inside the AWS or Azure. But how do we do this? Who will monitor? Who is monitoring the CPU utilization of this particular pods in the worker node? So there is one very nice, interesting entity. And what is the name of that entity which monitors the CPU utilization of the pods? So there is one entity called as cAdvisor. Okay, so cAdvisor is the entity which is present on all pods, actually on worker node, not pods, I'm so sorry, on all worker nodes, including your master node. So what is the job of the cAdvisor? cAdvisor job is to check out the CPU and RAM utilization of the RAM utilization of these pods and keep it with them. So it will monitor all the utilization and it will store inside the cAdvisor, let's say. But it is storing it, but it is not getting monitored by anyone. At the cluster level, it is not getting monitored. So what you need to do, you have to add one interesting component that is called as a metric server. You need to deploy the metric server. This is again a pod, right? So when you deploy the metric server, what does metric server does? It collects the logs of all, it monitors the logs of all the pod from, it takes it from the cAdvisor, this cAdvisor, this cAdvisor. So all this cAdvisor talks to the metric server. Okay. Okay, guys. Sorry. So now centrally you have the monitoring tool which is available called as metric server. Now this metric server will always help you to find out what is the CPU and RAM utilization of the nodes, what is the CPU and RAM utilization of specific pods, right? That you can find out by using metric server. But locally, who does that job? C advisor does that job. And at the cluster level, who does that job? Metric server. But this is just a monitoring mechanism, guys. It is not going to help you to scale. It is not going to scale up your application automatically. So then there is one more kind which is defined inside the master node or across the cluster. It's in the namespace resource called as HPA. HPA stands for horizontal pod autoscaler. So what this horizontal pod autoscaler will do, if you write whatever the condition you have written in this HPA, it will always try to look at the metric server. It will always try to look inside the metric server components, and it sees that, let's say, okay, if you have written that if it crosses more than 70% of the CPU utilization, and then add the one more pod inside the cluster, right? So what is its job? Its job is to check the two conditions, whether CPU utilization is going more than 70% or CPU utilization is coming less than 70%. So this HPA will keep a track on metric server. And once this condition is satisfied, if it is crossing more than 70%, then HPA will inform to the API server. There is API server. This condition has been fulfilled. Please deploy one more pod inside the worker 1 or worker 2 after talking to your scheduler and etcd pod. So HPA is a kind. It is like a deployment. It is like a service. It is like a pod. HPA is again a kind. We can define by using a YAML file. We can define by using a command line. If HPA satisfies the condition, it sees that 70% utilization is going now, it is crossing the 70% utilization. Immediately, it will inform the API server, look, now there is a condition arise. Now we need to deploy one more pod at some specific worker node. Please have a discussion with your scheduler. Then scheduler, etcd, and replication controller, and everybody will come into picture. And then finally, the scheduler will tell the API server, go ahead and deploy the pods on worker 1 or worker 2. Once it is decided, then it will give the information to the kubelet, and kubelet will do the rest of the job. Once metric server found that this particular CPU utilization of the current deployment or pod is going less than 70%, HP will tell that now this threshold value has come down. Please bring down please remove the pods from the specific worker node. So again, scheduler and other entities will come into picture like replica sets and deployment, and they will go to the they will inform to the kubelet, look, remove the pod from your this pod from your location, right? So kubelet will remove the pod from that worker node. That is the job of the HPA. So HPA is not going to do the auto scaling. HPA is just going to inform to the API server that, look, now there is a need of adding one more pod or removing the pod. That information, passing that information based on the condition which is written inside the metric server, will be informed by the HPA to the API server, and the rest of the task will be taken care by your replica sets and other parameters. All right, guys. So now we'll discuss about how to deploy the metric server, how to see the CPU utilization and RAM utilization, and how to write the code HPA so that it can automatically scale up and scale down. Okay, so let us see this by example. And once you see the examples, I think most of your questions will get clarified. So please keep this in 3 points in the mind. One is C advisor. It is a local monitoring component on worker node, each worker node in the cluster, including master node. C advisor is a centralized pod. Sorry, metric server is a centralized pod which takes the logs from the C advisors. Right? HPA monitors that logs, and if the certain condition is satisfied, then it informs to the API server accordingly to take the action. So scaling, then accordingly the scaling will be, that means automatically the pod will be added or pod will be removed from the cluster. And that is nothing but auto scaling. And that is nothing but a horizontal pod auto scaling. What is the meaning of horizontal scaling and vertical scaling? Horizontal scaling is nothing but recreating the images again and again, recreating the pods again and again. That is nothing but a horizontal auto scaling. And what is a vertical scaling, guys? Making one pod strong. Making one pod strong is nothing but vertical scaling. That means add more CPU, RAM inside only one pod. That is nothing but a vertical scaling. Okay, I hope that the difference between horizontal scaling and vertical scaling is clear. In case nobody has, if anybody has not understood, we'll discuss in the question and answer discussion. Okay, now let's go ahead and deploy. Let's see that whether we can deploy this metric server and try to monitor the CPU and RAM utilization of the nodes and pods. So let's go ahead and do it. So how to do that one? I have kubectl gate nodes. So I have 3 nodes and I want to see the CPU and RAM of this particular. So I can use command kubectl top nodes. But it says something like metric API is not available. I need to deploy one more metric pod. So let's see that whether it is available or not. kubectl gate pods. It is a system pod actually, guys. It is a daemon pod. You can use from, you can see inside the kube system namespace. We have scheduler, we have proxy, we have controller, we have API server, we have etcd, core DNS, we have view, but we don't have metric. So now what I will do, I will just download that YAML file, guys. First of all, we'll try to see that. First of all, let me download it. So where is that file? Yeah, this is that one. So this is a command. I have not deployed it. So let me first of all download this. So how to download the file, YAML file? We can use command wget. So this will download the file in my YAML folder. So wget is the command which is used to download the file from the internet. So it is downloaded. Can you see here? It is guys metric server.yaml file. It is a big file actually, if you see. So this is the way actually files has been written. I will try to show you this file in some time, but before that, let me just deploy this file so that our pod will come up. kubectl create -f metrics -server.yaml file. And now you can see that it has deployed the cluster role, it has deployed the cluster role binding, API service, service account, deployment, service, cluster role binding. So these are the different things it has been created. So now let's say that whether kubectl get pods from the namespace called as the kube system is showing something called as a metric server. Yes, we got it, guys. We have installed the metric server successfully. It is again a pod, not a big thing. Now can I see kubectl top nodes? Will it give me the information about the CPU and RAM? Not yet. So it will give. I need to wait for some time. I think it's still pod is kubectl top error metrics not available yet. It has come up now. It takes some time. Now you can see that this is the master server, which has a 60. Right now it has used 168 millicores. CPU 1 core is equal to 1 vCPU is equal to 1000 millicore, guys. So right now master node is using a 168 millicores, that is just 8% of CPU. And how much memory it is using? 30%, right? It is showing that. Now I want to find out what is the CPU utilization of this pod. So some other pod, let's say kubectl get pods from the deployment we'll see. I want to see the CPU utilization of this one, kubectl top pod, right guys? If I'm not wrong, this is a command. It shows that it is using a 0 millicores and 2 megabytes of memory. Okay, now. So now we'll write. I hope that you got the metric server, how to deploy the metric server and everything. So now it is actually a big YAML file, but I will try to show you once. So this is a little bit complicated, right? This is service account. So I will just tell you one liner answer because we are going to see in the coming lectures about what is the service account and everything. Service account is used to, if you want to control or communicate from one service to another service, or one system daemon to another system daemon, you can say like that, then you have to use service account. So service account for this metric server has been created inside the new kube system. That is the meaning of it. Now another kind is deployment. You can say, I think this is known to you, right? So in this one, which image you are using, you can see here there is a specific containers specification of the container, and this is the metric dash server dash AMD64 version. This image has been used. So to create a container whose name is metric.server, which will get created inside the pod, and that will be managed by the deployment. So this image is used. So how the arguments has been passed, guys, for the certificate or for the TLS and for the secure port and everything you can see here. Okay, so this is a deployment for the metric server. Now, how you can use the security context, this will be seeing in the upcoming sessions, guys. How to mount the volumes, this will seeing in the next session. We'll have the session in the next, what is the meaning of /temp and all. What is the meaning of mount path, we'll be discussing it. Okay. And this is the way we define the service, guys. Yesterday, we always use the command called as kubectl expose command to create a service. You can use this way also to create the service. This is API server, kind is, you can see service, metadata is metric server and kube system, namespace, and you can see here, guys, it is going to use the 443 port, target port is main port. So it is not using the, so target port is nothing but your container port, and this port is nothing but service port. And when we don't specify any type of the service, by default, it creates a cluster IP address. Okay, so this is the service definition. We'll discuss about the roles. What is a cluster role? This is a cluster level role on the resources called as the pod, nodes, node stats, namespace, and config names. What is the action are allowed on these resources, and that is defined as a cluster. So what are the actions? Get, list, watch. These are the actions can be defined or can be executed on these resources. So that is a role defined, and then you have to bind that role by using a cluster role binding. So you have to define this for which namespace, for which subject. Subject is nothing but the, you can say, principals. Principals are nothing but the name of the users in the system. Service account, what is the service account? Metric server. So you are whatever the cluster role you have defined here, that cluster role is need to be bind for the specific user ID. So if you want to bind that, you have to use the cluster role binding. Anyway, we are going to do this, guys, in the RBAC discussion, but I have just shown you in the just glimpse of it how the rollback access control has been defined. Okay. Now this is the YAML file of the metric server. This is the way all the YAML files you will find. Now come back to our main topic. We want to deploy the horizontal pod autoscaler. Now we have started deploying. We know now how to deploy the horizontal. We know how to deploy the now application. We know how to scale it. We know how to scale down. We know now how to check the CPU and RAM utilization of it. Now we'll see that how to scale it automatically. So we have to create a HPA. So we have one very nice document. Let me open the document, activity direct guide. And here you can see all the information is given. You can install the metric server. I think that link is not given. I will give the link in the chat box right away. Please update this documentation with the link so that you can download the metric server. Right, guys, now what I will do, I will start deploying one deployment. So let's say that there is a deployment called as Nginx HPA. Let's deploy this case. Now see here, this is the location where all the my YAML files has been kept. So kubectl get deployments. How many deployments are currently running? Okay, so let me delete this one. Kubectl delete deployment /k21 app. So it is now deleting. Now we are going to create a new one. So there is nginx-hpa. This is the YAML file. The name is given HPA, but nothing is there as HPA here. Now you can see here this is a deployment kind. The name of this particular deployment is Nginx HPA. It is going to deploy 2 replicas of the template who has a container called as, who having an image called as Nginx, whose port is 80, and this is the resource limits. So what is the resource limit and everything that we'll see later on. But right now it shows that when you create the container, that container will have minimum 150 of millicore and 100 megabytes of memory. And maximum it can go to the limit up to the limit 300 millicores and 200 megabytes of memory. Now this section which you see here, we have a very fantastic topic called as resource quota. In that I will clearly discuss about it and will show all the layers of this particular topic in that discussion. But right now just have a glimpse of it. If you want to assign a CPU and RAM to any container, how to assign it is shown by using this command, this particular layer. Okay guys, so let's deploy this Nginx with 2 replicas, right? And let's see how it behaves. So now which command I should fire? Apply or create? Even if I use create, it will work. Even if I apply, it will work. But once it is created, then you cannot use the create command. You have to use apply every time. So now you can see here kubectl get pods, and you should be able to see that now this application is running fine. Cool, pod is started running. So what is its CPU utilization? Top pod. So utilization is very less, guys, right? Can you see here? Kubectl top pod like this one. Okay, guys. So CPU and RAM utilization is there now, very less. Now what we want to do, guys, we will log in inside one of the container, or we want to check, right? What we want to check now, we want to define the threshold value. We want to define the HPA now. So how to define the HPA? So let me just show you guys. We have created a deployment. Now we have to define the HPA. Metric server is already in place. So how to create HPA? So there is a command here that we'll use. Okay, guys. So this is the command which is used to create a horizontal pod autoscaler. Guys, we can write the YAML file for this as well. But let me show you here. So how I can create a YAML file of this? I'm just commenting it for the sake of understanding. kubectl, it is showing now not scale, it is showing autoscale. Whenever you use autoscale, that time it will create a HPA. So now you see here kubectl get HPA, horizontal pod autoscaler. There is no pod now, there is no HPA defined here. So now we are going to define here kubectl autoscale deployment. Which deployment you want to automatically scale? The name of the deployment is Nginx HPA, right, guys? This is the name of the deployment. CPU percentage, let's say that you want to keep it as 50%. So if your threshold value goes beyond 50% of the CPU, add one more pod. So to start with, how many pods you want? Let's say minimum 2. How many maximum pods you want? Let's say 6. So whenever there is a CPU hike is going on, if the CPU is abruptly increasing or CPU utilization is going beyond threshold, it will start adding. Please mute, guys. It will
So,
start adding.
Ramesh, I have a question. For this auto scaling, the pod is having only CPU criteria or some other criteria, like networking or etc.
Yeah, it
If you can,
has
you
different
need to
criteria also,
stop
but
interrupting the thing. Stop interrupting it. Let him finish. You ask questions later.
yeah, please
It's
please
not
hold on
just
for.
you. It's everybody.
Yeah, please hold on. Thank you for the patience, guys. Please keep a patience. I will answer your question. Just wait for some time. kubectl auto scale, right? So this is a 50 percentage, right? When I use a percent here, it is 50%, right? We can add here RAM also. There are a lot of options are available, guys. Don't worry about it. We'll see that. So it is a 50%, right? And minimum when we start this deployment, there should be minimum 2 pods. But the moment it increases the 50% of the CPU utilization, it should add third. Again, the cumulative CPU utilization of the 3 pods goes more than 50%. Add one more, that is 4. Similarly, it can go up to 6, 5, and 6. But beyond that, if it is increasing, then it will not increase the pod because we have kept the maximum limit as 6. However, we can modify that anytime. Now, let me enter here. So now you can see here, it shows that horizontal pod autoscaler is created. kubectl get HPA. Now you can see here, guys, it shows that Nginx HPA has been created. Reference for this is for the deployment. And right now I have given the threshold value as a 50%, but there is no, right now nothing is has been, there is a 0%. In some time you will find this 0%. Yes, now it is showing 0% utilized because there is no load on the pods, right? So once we deploy the load on the pods, then it will slowly start building up. So here it shows that minimum pods are 2, maximum pods are 6, and replicas are 2. Current replicas are 2 now, right? Now, so kubectl. So how do I increase the load on this pod? That is important, right? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create one pod, something like a sidecar container, something like one more pod, and from that pod I'm going to deploy the load inside this particular pods. So how to do that one? That is actually given in the activity guide also. So I'm going to use the same commands to load this pod so that automatically this will go more than 0%. So let's see that how to do it now. So I have this command. So how to increase the load? So this is the command you can see. So kubectl run it. This is the command which is going to create one container called as called as load generator from the BG box. It is just a container. It is not going to create any load, but this command will create a load, which is there in the step number 5. So let me create first of all BG box container. So do I need to type it? I think I know these commands to everyone, right? So this is the command which will create a container called as load generator and from the image called as the BG box, and then it will log in. But what will happen if you use the --rm command? If I exit from this container, it will automatically delete. That is the meaning of it. So that is why rm is there. Now what I want to do now, I want to create a load on the pod. So first of all, I need to have the IP address of the pod. So let me just open one duplicate session. Welcome. One second, there is a different password altogether. Okay, and then sorry. Now I want to find out the IP address of the pods. So how do I do that? Get pods -o wide. Okay, so do we have IP address? Yes, I have the IP address. So this is my load generator. This is a pod, and these are my Nginx pods. So I will pick up any one pod, guys, here. IP address of one pod, that is 10.40.0.1. And I'm going to write one script from this one that what is the script? While true, semicolon, wget do wget query dash capital O dash and the IP address. .40.0.1 and done. I hope that this is clear now. Yes, correct. So what will happen, guys? This command will do. This will start querying this particular pod. Okay, inside this pod, it will start querying this one, right? So it will create a load. This command is just to create a load on the pods to demonstrate you this how it gets auto-scaled. Okay, so let me enter here. So let it work like that one. It is going to continually download the file and view it. So now we will start watching the pods now. kubectl get pods. It is there. Okay, kubectl get HPA. So can you see right now it is showing, this is HPA name. Right now it is showing 0%. Minimum pods are 2 and maximum are 6. Now let's keep this watch. Let's watch it for some time. Okay, and see what happens. Now slowly, this command is running, guys, here. See, this command is continuously running. It is not going to stop. So now you see here, in some few seconds of time, after some few seconds, you will be able to see load will start increasing from 0% to, we have given the threshold of 50%, right? Once it crosses the 50%, it will start increasing the pods. Let's watch for a few seconds, guys. Can you see now the CPU utilization has been increased to 23%. So 23% is not your threshold, 50% is there. So the moment it crosses the 50%, it will start creating additional replicas. Let's watch it for some time. And we can see that additional replicas will get created. I hope that this is running. Script is running. Yes, it is still running. Yeah, it will come up now. So this particular script is running on the worker one, if I'm not wrong, because pod is inside on the worker one. So that script is running on the worker 1. So C advisor is there who is just monitoring the CPU and RAM utilization. And from that, it will go to the metric server. From the metric server, HPA will look into it. What is the CPU utilization and RAM utilization? And after some time, it will found that, oh, now the CPU utilization will increase. And then the HPA will pick up that and will get this information. So it takes some time to get this information here. It is still going on. I'm not going to change anything. Let's wait for 30 seconds more, 1 minute more.
So Ramesh, in the meantime, replicas is nothing but creating a new pod.
HPA is replica sets will be always used to create a new pods. HPA is doing the just monitoring task. Why it is taking so much time? I think I have given a lot of percent CPU utilization. That's why it is taking time. Anyway, but it will go beyond this 23% very soon.
Should we create one more pod and then give it on the second IP also, as it is taking a cumulative CPU?
Right, because it's there is a chances that this particular pod node might have a more RAM also, more CPU also. So there is chances. Let me create one more pod. Yeah, your idea is good. Okay, now see sudo -i. Okay, so let me create one more pod here. And I need to give some different name to this one, otherwise it will confuse, right? So before that, let me get the IP address of the pod. kubectl get pods -o wide. Yeah, this is 2.
Can we not use the same pod and just run the command again?
Yeah, that is also possible. That can also be done. Yes, we can do that. Yeah, let me now use the wget. I just need to change the IP address of it, right? So this is my IP address, 32.0.2. I hope that we have used earlier is 40.0.1, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it has started loading the again something. Yeah, it is now showing 24%. I should have given the less amount of the CPU here. CPU percentage, because I have given the 24%. That is a huge amount right now, because I think almost all the nodes are having 8 GB of RAM or maybe 2 core of CPU, and there is not that much load gets created with the help of this command.
So HPA HPA is just a scaling auto scaling kind of feature, right? It's like a service, right? So there may be a couple of endpoints associated to the as a target group.
Yeah, 1 second. Now you can see here now. This is 77%. Now just watch for few more seconds. Automatically now this replica will go to the 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at this now 4. And now it will go to 6. Because it has crossed the threshold value. Now it is adding more resources inside it. Okay. Now what we'll do, guys, I think it will take this, that's fine. Now you can see here kubectl get pods. Yeah, it is showing your 4 pods has been increased. If I again increase the load on this one, it will again add the pods, right? Now if I now see again, watch this one right now, kubectl get HPA. It is showing 75% and 50%. So right now 4 replicas are there. What will happen now? It is auto scaling, right? We have not done anything here. It got automatically scaled. Now if I describe this one, kubectl describe HPA, please mute guys, nginx /dash HPA, and you should be able to see here that what is happening. It shows that this is the HPA, this is namespace, creating timestamp and everything. Resource CPU on pods as a percentage of request is 75% right now. It is showing right now. The target is 50%. Deployment pods are maximum replicas are shown here 6. So it is basically giving you the description about it. So you can find out the information from these places, guys. Now, what will happen? Now you see the kubectl get HPA. It is showing 38%. Now I think it has started reducing the load on this particular thing. I think it might have stopped it. Let me stop this as well. This is stopped. Exit. And from the next also, let me stop here and exit. Now you can watch this again. Now slowly you will find that load is decreasing. So it will get decreased in, it takes 4 to 5 minutes, guys, to make this load 0%. So if the load becomes 0%, then it takes 4 to 5 minutes to reduce the replicas from 4 to minimum replicas. So we'll watch this particular screen, but meanwhile we will take a questions also, because this is going to scale up and scale down. This is auto scaling basically. See, we have just, yeah, now it is 0%. Now we need to wait for some time because there is no load on the deployment at all. Now after some time you'll find that it will reach to the minimum pods. And we have declared that minimum number of pods should be 2. So replicas will come to the 2. So let me see if you have any questions, guys. Okay.
Ramesh, quick question. We gave the max pods as 6, right?
Yes.
So when does it fully scale to 6 pods? Because when the CPU is 75%, it went to 4 replicas. So when does it go to 6 replicas?
So basically what is happening, it is coming as a cumulative load, and it is, yeah. So now in the 4 pods, if it is going more than 75%, then it will add one more pod. Then in five pods, if it is going more than 50%, then it will again add one more pod. That time it will reach to the maximum.
Yeah, but when it showed earlier, it says cumulative is okay, reduced.
It was it was showing for, I think, 3. It might be for the 2 or 3.
Yeah, sure, got it. Yep, thanks, Ramesh.
Adding a pods with such automation do take care of node capabilities. Yes, we have to make sure that this is very important to define the how many maximum pods you should want with the HPA. That is very important. And how to find out that one? You have to find out by discussing with the customer that how many transactions per seconds will be coming on my pods or in this application in peak hours or non-peak hours. After calculating that one, then you have to find out what will be the CPU and RAM utilization, and then you have to calculate the total number of pods required. And then you can define in the HPA that this should be auto scaled up to 16 pods or 100 pods or 200 pods, depending on the requirement of the customer. And I'm telling you that is called as user concurrency. User concurrency will decide. And another parameter that you need to discuss that if there are 1000 user concurrencies, then what will be the CPU utilization? If there are 1000 user concurrencies will be there, then what will be the RAM utilization? Then you need to do a lot of testing on that one, and then you will be able to find out how many pods will be required. So of course we need to find out the capabilities of the nodes. We need to accordingly define the resources on the nodes. Yeah, Abhiram.
Capability of nodes, how do I define? That's what my question was, because I can have any number of pods, right? So that's where I was confused. I know this HP will take care of increasing, decreasing pods, but again, given capability of nodes, I know that API server scheduler will do that, but HPA won't, right? It's just that it will say this many pods, but I was not sure how do I see the capability of nodes, because there may be a situation where instead of going for increasing the pods in given worker, I may need to create a new node and in that pod should go. So that will that be also taken care or?
Yeah, that is a very good question actually, and that we'll discuss, Abhiram. That is what documentation we have to create. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Ramesh, I asked you that question. So, is it possible? What
Which
are the
question?
parameters for this? Increasing the auto scaling,
Yeah, you can
except the
use.
CPU over usage.
I think CPU is there, RAM is there. I think network connections are also there. So you can, if you go to the HPA documentation here, Kubernetes HPA, memory and CPU is there. This is there already, not an issue. But yeah, there are other parameters are also there. So you can go to the documentation to study more, guys. So CPU utilization is one of them. You can
So Ramesh, we
also
don't
have
have any help parameter to identify that.
health parameter. I think 1 second. No, health parameter. You are saying? No,
Yeah,
help. I will check it.
because ultimately we are passing an argument, right? So I was.
Just 1 second. I got it. Your question. kubectl explain command is there. kubectl explain HPA. That way we can find out. But let me show you from this place now. If we can have CPU is there. This utilization. Uh, yeah,
Ramesh, what is the question?
no, question is that apart from the CPU utilization, CPU parameter, which other parameters you can consider for autoscaling? I have a list of it, but I'm just checking out where is that list. Not only CPU, RAM is there, and another one is also there, and external metrics. Resources coming here.
Ramesh, we can move forward and later on you can provide that information, no problem.
Yeah, but I have that somewhere it is there. I just
That's fine. We can move the other question. I know that there might be. You can find out later on.
can you see, guys? This now, yeah, this is 0%, and this shows 2 replicas. Okay, now it has been scaled down. So automatic scaling and auto scaling and scaling up and scaling down has been achieved by using HPA. That is what I wanted to explain. But anyway, let me take the questions quickly. If I have a Splunk ELK, do I require metric server? CPU utilization and RAM utilization can be provided by using the metric applications, as well as you can use other ELK stack also. So it is basically monitoring stuff that will help you. But if you want to auto scale, then you need to have the HPA. So ELK or Splunk will not, I think it will not help you for the auto scaling. It will help you for the monitoring.
Splunk is not used for monitoring, right? Splunk is for the
Splunk is for
to create to collect the logs, right? Not for the monitoring. Monitoring metrics, and those are the different tool we need to deploy. Maybe
right.
Prometheus.
All Prometheus databases or ELK stack is used for monitoring purpose. But if you want to deploy the autoscaling, then you need a metric server. I hope that is clear
HPA is see one Ramesh, sorry, HPA is for auto scaling, right? Not for. So my only thought was, can I replace metrics with something else? That was my thought.
For monitoring purpose, you can use it. But
So,
HPA can't be in this scenario right now. HP is the one thing I have seen in the OpenShift also. In the Kubernetes environment, HP is the only alternative I see to scale up and scale down.
But for metric server, we have alternative, right? Because now I'm not talking about HPA, but for metric server, we have alternative, right? Instead of metric server, I can use the
monitoring purpose. You have all the options are there.
Okay, for HPA it is. But again, Prometheus, what for it is? I was confused there. The Prometheus part is it for?
Prometheus we'll discuss, but it is a database actually, which will similar like a metric server. It will store the entire data inside the Prometheus database, and that can be now accessed by using the Kibana or Grafana tools. So Prometheus is a database specifically, which hold the logs. Okay, Vivek, what is the question? Can you ask me?
My question is this: that when we're creating HPA, HPA is a service or deployment. What kind of component it is, first of all? And the second question is, the HPA is controlling or managing deployment, right, or replica set.
Okay.
It has some relation, right? When I have, let's say, one deployment which has the controlling the replica set, and it has the replica set which has the application deployed in a pod. So that's the workflow basically, and then the HPA is taking the metrics from the metric server, and based on that, it's going to scale up and scale down your deployment.
Right. So to summarize what we discussed right now, Vivek, is first question is that this HPA is a object of the Kubernetes. It is a kind. Okay. It is again another thing is it is a namespace resource, HPA. Second thing, and third thing is that HPA just defines the parameter by which it should be scaled down or scale up. And it also defines that how many maximum number of the replicas can be attended or minimum replicas can be maintained. But it just gives this information to the API server, and then the rest of the things are taken care by it. So what is the HPA's
But what is your
role?
target? What is the target of HPA? What is the endpoint? Which is it monitoring a pod? It is monitoring a deployment? What?
Yeah, HPA is monitoring the contents of the metric server. HPA
but this is for the
doesn't
deployment, right? HPA, one HPA per deployment, isn't it?
correct. But what I'm saying again, let me explain you again. In the deployment, if you have 100 pods, then HPA doesn't do anything related to the pods. It is none of the job of the watching the pods. CI advisory are there. They collect the logs from the worker nodes about each and every resources inside the worker node, including the node. It will be given to the CI advisor. Then CI advisor talks to the metric server. Metric server holds that data of all the pods which are running on all the worker nodes. And what this HPA does, it talks to the metric server. And as per the definition written inside the HPA deployment, HPA YAML file, configuration file, it checks it. Always keep the watch on the parameter which are deployed in the YAML file. Let's say that you are saying that in case this application or this pod goes more than 70%, deploy one more pod. That is what. So the moment it crosses the threshold value, it informs to the master API server or API server, look, this has been now crossed. Please ask your resources to deploy one more pod inside the cluster. So the endpoint of the HPA is metric server that is watching the metric server information, And once the condition is met, another endpoint is it will talk to the API server. That's it. No other job
So
of the
it will
API.
basically monitoring all the deployment on the pods level. The metrics gives the information. I need to take some action, and that I mean, not monitoring will going to take the monitors logs, everything, and then HPA will take an action on base of those monitoring logs on that particular resource, whether it's a
Right. HPA will inform to the API server need to take action on this particular resource because it has crossed the threshold value.
Ramesh, so if worker 2 is already having 70% or more than 50%, so how it will distribute to different, and if the CPU utilization in other worker node also higher
Right.
than the threshold, what will
It is a
happen?
yeah, it is a headache of scheduler. It is the job of the scheduler to find out which worker node is having a healthy, which is having enough resource to deploy the pods.
If none of them are having enough resources, then what will happen?
Then you should have actually
here, if
cluster
you see that
if the answer of the question of viewers is that if none of them is not having enough resources, then it will say that there are not enough resources. It is forbidden to deploy.
Okay, thank you.
Ramesh,
but
can we not spin a new node in that case? And that's one of my question. Let's
Yes,
say you are running out of the nodes, so Autoscale should actually spin up a new node and deploy pods.
so yes, Anuj, it can be done. We will do that one in the cluster maintenance activity. How
Perfect,
to
thank you.
so when you are
how
doing this kubectl get HPA, you see that reference deployment. So that means the HPA has a reference deployment, right?
it is a value, it is information. It is
Yeah,
just
so
monitoring. It is just monitoring the pods, which of the pods, sorry, metric values or resources information inside the deployment called as the Nginx HPA. It is not going to, if this HPA is there, Nginx HPA, it will just monitor the values of this one from the metric server. That's it.
So
so
basically,
Ramesh,
yeah, go ahead, Amit, sorry.
so Ramesh, when you created HPA, you created HPA for a specific deployment, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so okay, Vivek, so I think that answers the question. So HPA is basically created for a deployment, and then
Right.
deployment will have
That's
multiple
what my
pods, and
thinking
then
is, right?
yeah,
So because
yeah,
HPA is
yeah.
it's an auto scaling feature. It's not like something deployment feature. It's auto scaling, which basically creates automatically your scale up and scale down. But whom it is going to scale up and scale down, we don't know. So question is deployment, or maybe so one thing here, as a flow chart, I think this might be good for everyone. We have a pod, and on top of that pod we have a replica set. On top of replica set we have a deployment. On top of deployment we have a service,
HPA.
and then we have an HPA. So we have all those components, right? And then we have metric server, and the C advisor give information to metric server. Metric server will give information to HPA. HPA will take some action based on the metrics and deploy the auto scaling that deployment automatically. That's what my understanding is.
Yeah, just see this diagram now, which I have shown you for the better understanding of everybody now. I think I have deployed, so now I think if I show you this diagram again, it will be great. So this is this is the pod which is already there. This is inside one deployment. Let's say this is the 4 pods are there in the deployment called as the D1. Okay, so its information is captured by the C advisors. Now I have deployed the metric server. So metric server job is, it doesn't matter whether it is only one deployment or 100 deployments. All the C advisors will push the data to the metric server as per the deployment wise or pod wise or what. Okay. Now, if the data of the all the deployments is available inside the metric server, its CPU utilization, RAM utilization of the particular pods, HPA, now you have created HPA called as the Nginx HPA for this D1, you have created one HPA. So what this HPA will do, HPA
So
will
this
monitor.
metric server will be only in control node?
It is a namespace actually. It is the metric server is a namespace component. It is actually spread across the cluster. It is not that only on the available on the this one. So basically, right now, if you see a matrix,
Namespace is nothing but a system level component.
Cluster
right.
component.
Cluster component. It is a namespace is a cluster component. Try to understand. Right now, pod is running on the metric server. Pod is running on the master node, but it is a cluster level component. It is spread across this one. Right now, okay. Now just understand. Try to understand this concept. All the logs about the D1 deployment is available inside the metric server. If you have another deployment also, its logs are also available. CPU utilization logs are also available inside this metric server. If you have another deployment also you have, or if you have just one static pod also, its values are also available inside this one, as well as the CPU and RAM utilization of this worker node. It is also available here. For this worker node, it is also available. So all the components, CPU utilization and RAM utilization information is available in the metric server. Now, when you define the HPA for the D1, then this HPA will monitor the only components. It will just monitor the values of the components inside the D1 deployment only. It is not going to check for the D2 or P1. If you want to monitor the D2 deployment, you have to create a HPA for D2. Then it will monitor it. Now, if there is a changes happen as per the threshold value, then this HPA will inform API server by now see that now there is a change has happened. Please take care of creating a one more pod as per the definition given by the developer. Then this API server will talk to the different resources like its deployment, replica sets, scheduler, and everything, and then accordingly pod will be deployed. So this is
Ramesh, so metric service is only on the master node. It will not be on the worker nodes, right?
so pod is basically right now available on the master node.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thanks.
Ramesh, just a question. So when as you said, we create an HPA for each deployments, right? So and we use a YAML file to kind of create those HPAs. So can we modify those YAML files to add another deployment instead of creating a new HPA, or to monitor like multiple deployments? So can that be done, or
You can have one-to-one mapping. That is always better.
okay?
Yeah. You can see now here, this is metric server got created. And if you want to watch this, where this particular pod is running, so you can find out here. So right now, this metric server pod is running on worker 2. It is running on the worker 2. Is it a deployment? kubectl get deployment from namespace called as a kube system. So I told you that this is a namespace related product. So it is a metric server. Can I scale this one? Yes, we have finished it, Santosh. We just want to I'm just winding up now. kubectl scale deployment. This is important thing, guys. Please see here. Metric server replicas. I am just opening the different dimensions for you guys. I hope that this will be helpful for you from the n cube dash system. Otherwise, I can read it from the activity book and we can finish the topic. That is not a big task. Finishing the syllabus is not a big task at all. So now you see here, guys, how many pods are created for this one. See, 5 pods are there. I have created 5 pods of the metric servers. Now where are they running? kubectl get pods from kube system. If it is a deployment kind of thing, then you can create a multiple metric servers also. You have copies of metric servers now. Pods, see here. Some of them are running on the worker 2, some of them are running on the worker 1. But you will not see anything on the metrics on the master node. Look at this. Metric component is not available on the master node. It is available on the worker nodes only.
But this contradicts our previous statement. I thought metric server will only be on the master node.
No. We just see the deployment actually. We didn't
Okay.
see the location of the master. This one, even because this pod, even though let's say that none of the pods, see, other than the etcd API server, and I think one more is there, proxy. and this is a view. Other than that, there are these pods. These are the system or daemon level pods. All other pods are running on the worker nodes.
Actually, Ramesh, you are saying that it's a system level pod, right? It's a kube system cluster level resource. That's why it is coming to the namespace called kube system.
Yes,
Any,
correct.
it can be on worker 1, worker 2, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because this namespace is spread across the clusters.
Yeah, it makes more sense. Otherwise, you really need a very solid master node because if you have all the exactly that was my question. And yeah, thanks for answering it. Thank you.
Ramesh.
Yes.
Yeah, please. Where is the C advisor? Sorry, I just lost that part.
C advisor is not anywhere here. C advisor is just a part of the Kubernetes. You can say binary files.
Okay.
Right. It is not. It is not accessible right now here.
Also, you can access the C advisor, right?
Ramesh,
No. Right
okay.
now.
Okay.
Ramesh, I have one question here. It may be good for. I mean, I'm always looking from the architecture point of view, basically, right? So when we start our Kubernetes, let's say, questions comes again. You two, okay? Let's talk about metrics because we are discussing metrics here. So if we know the C advisor is monitoring pods, right? And metric servers are collecting all the metrics from C advisor to all information about system health check or whatever, CPU monitoring, whatever is it, right? So that's fine. What about within the inside the pod? Let's say I have containers, right? Actually, the applications are deploying on container, not on the pod, right? So the containers are the lowest entity here, and that application is using resources, basically, right? Those resources are on the container, and the container is consuming those resources. Actual thing is that we need to see the container level, right? So who is monitoring the containers within pod?
No, basically, this particular this monitoring is happening now. See, basically, it happens at the container level only. Pod is a less just logical entity. So container is going to utilize the CPU and RAM. So in turn, that means pod is going to utilize. So pod is something which is a logical, but actual resources, consumed resources are for the containers only. So when you say the C advisor is actually monitoring the container performance.
Okay, but see, let's say, okay, we cannot create a C advisor for each pod, right?
No. It is a common. It is a common entity across the worker node.
Is a C advisor is a process inside the worker node?
Yes, it is inside the worker node. It is a process inside the worker node. Correct.
Okay.
When it comes to application isolation at container level, okay, if the C advisor is at node level, okay, how it is going to, I mean, how it is going to, monitor multiple applications at multiple containers, okay, and then inform different customers. I mean, so the actual isolation, I mean, how it will work?
No, there is no isolation. If there are hundreds of pods, hundreds of applications, this in one worker node, so it will just capture the pod. It doesn't understand which application is there.
Yeah,
So it will capture
that's
the
also my
information.
question, Ramesh. If a particular customer wants to fix in a specific worker node, and then how it will happen? There should be kind of affinity rules to associate the pod into specific worker groups.
No, see, actually, let me conclude this topic by saying one thing that uh, if C advisor is available and if it is trying to monitor the any pod or container, guys, how it monitors, everything works here on the label basis, right? So if the C advisor is trying to monitor certain, it will monitor all the applications, all the pods which are there. So they are labeled. So that labeling information will carry forward to the metric server as well. So metric server will come to now that from the worker to from this deployment whose label is this one, these are the pods are there, and this is their CPU utilization and RAM utilization. That way, this labeling can be maintained, right? But if you see the logs, what actually this metric server provides you, it's just providing you the two information. One is the CPU and RAM information. What else it is providing you? Right? So whenever I'm trying to fetch the information about the any pod, I'm getting the CPU and RAM. So basically it is going at the pod level to take the data from the pod, and then it is just storing by using the labeling concept and putting inside the metric server.
Actually,
Yes.
I think I think it is a little bit clear now that if I'm hosting, if my application, okay, is having, it needs 50 containers, okay, then I'll be creating a pod, a logical entity, okay, using those 50 pods, while I'll be grouping a container from a different customer, different application into my pod. So that's the reason why the C advisor is going to monitor my containers, okay, and then which is the performance of the pod, and then notify to metric server.
Right. It will just
I
pass
think
the
I'm still
value.
not clear. Maybe
It is not passing the it is passing the values of the CPU and RAM utilization of every pod based on the label of the pods to the metric server. That's it.
Metric server. Okay.
I think Ramesh is still, maybe I need to read more detail about C advisor, but C advisor's job is to monitor pod, not to monitor containers.
That means inside the pod there is a containers are there.
Actually,
Correct.
we are
Now,
saying pod. Why? Because there is nothing called pod, right? Ultimately, they are containers. I mean, group of
correct.
containers.
No. Let me tell you this. Why I'm going to this. Maybe I need to. I was reading somewhere. Maybe Ramesh, you are a better person to answer this. Maybe one thing which I was reading somewhere, I can give you. Let's say you create a pod, right? Whenever you create a pod, it creates a container, Nginx container. Let's say, right? If you're using image of Nginx, but it is also creating one more container. The one container will be your application, which is Nginx, and it's also creating one more pod, one more container, which is called pause, PAUSE, right? So pause container has nothing but it is collecting all the metrics on resources of the container level and providing that information to C advisor, I believe. I'm not sure. I'm just correlating that. If you see, you can just write down, you can create a one pod and see how many container has been created by that pod.
Okay, I will check that one. Not an issue. I will check that one.
If that is the case, then this is something new to all of us.
I will check that one. Don't worry. But as of now, just the discussion will conclude here that C advisor is just getting the logs from the container which is inside the pod, of course. Okay, and it is passing to the metric server. That is the only thing that you need to keep in mind.
Ramesh, do you able to see the process of C advisor in the worker node?
Okay, we'll check that one. Give me time till tomorrow next time, please.
Okay, sure.
If you don't mind. Yeah, because now
Yeah,
it is going, time is running away, and I need to just catch something else also. If you don't mind, guys. Today, a little bit I'm in a hurry. Yeah. So, what is the last command I have given, guys, to you?
1039.
1039.
Ramesh, where do you send these commands to?
I have sent it commands in the chat box.
Oh, only in the chat, huh?
Right, and now this list of the commands, I think Piyush will upload these commands on the portal also for your reference.
Oh, okay. Do you have idea what we are doing next week? The topic for next week?
Persistent volume.
Persistent volume. Okay, nice one. Nice one.
That is, yeah, volume. That is very important topic.
Other than that, if you have just 2 minutes, maybe it will not take more than 2 minutes to verify. Just create one, Ramesh. You can create one pod and see how many content has been created with that pod.
Ramesh, can you please take another questions? Actually, I have asked if we have already implemented auto scaling at cloud level.
1 second.
In the AWS.
Yeah, you can do that one.
Okay.
You can do that one. Guys, sorry, I just forgot to take the questions. If there is any specific question is there, I will be okay. Anirbaza, do you able to see the process of C advisor? I'll just check out that. Part of the kubelet binary, yes. Please answer the question from chat. Yes, sorry, Abhiram.
Ramesh, one thing only. See, I know you answered most. The only one thing is like I know sometime you are telling C advisor or this metric, or sometime you tell a system this one. Otherwise, you sometimes daemon. So I was confused. Like, are the system daemon same or daemon system is different or what they really are? HPA could be. I mean, I just want to know that part. I was confused there. Yeah, or both are same. System node or a daemon node. Yeah, that's how I would like to understand. How do I know that what is system node and what is daemon node?
Yeah, you are saying system pod and daemon pod. That is what, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, system pod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
system pod and daemon pods are same.
Oh, okay. So both are same. Okay.
To form the cluster, Kubernetes cluster, there are certain pods which are required, like your kube, there is kube proxy or whatever it may be, right? API server, etcd cluster. These are system related pods, and they are also called as a daemon pods.
Okay. Okay. So all this, whichever you are telling metrics or the HPA, these are all you can consider them as a system, right? System or daemon pod, correct?
No. These are not system or daemon pods. These are the HP related pods. Or these are the, you can say this is again application kind of, right? HP is application kind of stuff, or which is major metric server is
So
application.
can be sidecar, right? I mean, no, that can be sidecar. Okay.
Sidecar can,
Okay.
you can use that word, right? Sidecar.
Okay.
Sidecar pods kind.
Okay. Sidecar, and but again, then what is a system? Then system daemon. You can, yeah, that I got it. Sidecar. That's a sidecar, and
System
what?
car. Let me tell you, system pods are nothing but these pods are responsible for creating a cluster. So when you fire a command kubeadm init, right? When you form the cluster, that time these images gets downloaded, it creates a container, and out of that it creates a pod. Some of them pods are API server, some of them are etcd, and they are the system related pods. You can also call it as a daemon pod.
Oh, so the API server and all those, I can call them as system pod or daemon. Okay, got it.
Yeah, right. Daemon sets are different. Daemon sets are different. This is pods. This is a system related pods. Okay.
Okay, yeah, got my. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think a lot of questions were there, but I was not able to answer them today.
So, Ramesh, if you don't mind, just create one pod and see how many container has been created with that pod.
One second. I'll just show you that. Sainath, your question was, does a single HPA created on master node monitors all the pods on the worker nodes? So it does not HPA doesn't monitor anything. It just monitors the metric server. I hope that Sainath, it's clear for you now. How about the housekeeping of the logs that metric server uses to analyze? How about the housekeeping of the logs? Anuj, so you are asking about the housekeeping of the logs, right? So that is the internal process of we'll see that one. I have some questions in the chat have not been attended to. Thank you. Are you there, Dan, now?
Yeah, I asked a question concerning the difference between the load balancer and the auto scaling. What's the difference? Because load balancer is trying to balance the traffic that comes into the machine. Yeah.
I'll tell you, Dan. Load balancer is to distributing the traffic, right? And auto scaling is nothing but if the traffic is huge, add one more pod, right? So increasing the pods horizontally so that it can accommodate more resources or more traffic which is coming from the load balancer is nothing but auto scale.
Okay.
Yes, Ramesh, I had a quick question. When we fix the percentage of the CPU use, how is it checked? For example, for in case we are set up like we're starting with two port. How is it going to be checked? It's going to be checked on the two port, or before scaling, or how is it working? I'm trying to understand the concept.
Basically, metric server will check. Let's say there in the deployment there are 2 pods are there, and you say that if it crosses, if the threshold value is 70%, it will cumulatively check the CPU utilization of the both pods, and then it will create a new pod. So it checks for both. It checks the CPU utilization of the both pods. So if one is 35%, another one is 70%, if cumulative is coming 60%, something like that, it will not create a new pod unless and both are not going more than 70%. Their cumulative CPU utilization should be 70%. Then only new pod will get created. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
And when you define minimum pod and maximum pod, that means that it can't go beyond maximum pod and can't dip below minimum pod, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
How does Anand? This was a question from Anand only, right? How does HPA know the percentage threshold to min and max pods? I hope that I answered that question.
Sorry, so the target that we are defining is basically the threshold at which the scaling will happen to that max node level, right?
Right. And this threshold is coming as per our standard expectations from the industry or application.
Correct, but less than 50, for example, it reaches 49. The moment it crosses below the target level, would it straight away go to the minimum?
No, it will not. It waits for 5 minutes. There is a cooling period because there is a possibility that again 49% can go to the 51%.
No, the question is, at 49%.
It will remove one pod at a time.
One pod at a time. Okay.
Yeah, because it will match let's say there are 3 pods now, and it has come down to the 49%. Cumulatively, 3 pods were having 50%. Now it has reduced to the 49%. It will remove one pod. It will wait for 5 minutes and then it will remove one pod. Oh, again, if it is going below, let's say if again going below above 50%, it will add one more pod. If there are 3 pods and it is going beyond the 50% again, it will add one more pod. The moment it comes down to the 49%, it will remove the one pod. So it will remove pod by one, not drastically. No, you don't have to install the C advisor explicitly. It is a part of the Kubernetes cluster installation. Yes, Venkatesh, correct. Sonali was asking, would the command kubectl get HPA will show all the HPA available? Yes, Sonali, it will show all the HPAs. Correct.
So Ramesh, the auto-scaling part, like it is dependent upon the resources on the worker nodes, right? I mean, the node resources, like that should be calculated, right? On how many pods we can increase up to.
Yeah, that you have to calculate. Node resources are important.
Okay.
Henry, how is the advisor deployed during the installation of the Kubernetes cluster? It gets
Yeah,
deployed.
you answered it already. You answered it already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I have answered all questions. If you know housekeeping, we'll see that one.
Ramesh,
I think we have answered all the questions, right?
Yeah, commands history. I think last time I mentioned the wrong number. I think the last one is 1107. From there, can we have the history of this command?
Yeah, I will share that one. Don't worry, I will share that one.
Okay.
This will be available to you 111007, right? Okay, let me now just show the answer of the one of the question. So what happens when we create a pod, right? That is what his question was. kubectl create pod, run pod 1. Sorry, I need to set the image is equal to nginx. So this is my pod. Are you there? Who has asked this question?
Yeah, this is Vivek. I asked.
Yeah. So this pod is running on the worker one, right? And its IP address is this one. So let me go to the worker one.
We can see the container on that pod.
Yeah, no, I will go inside that is there only. Okay, guys, now see here, Docker PS. There are a lot of containers now. So that's why it is taking
Maybe
time.
you can get the container ID first, right? You can see, just run. So
One second. This is
Sorry,
Nginx, right?
I think
here, if you see this pause container, you did see this PAUSE. What is that container?
One second. Somebody was saying Kavita, or somebody was saying something.
Sonali, I think you missed one of my questions on the.
I'm so sorry. I'll just give me let me complete this one if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I need to get the ID also. But ID will not get like
Maybe
that.
you can get from the pod, right? Describe pod. You will get the container ID on the pod ID. Pod. I think you describe pod, and then you can get the container ID.
Yeah. So there are two pods. See, this is Nginx one.
And the pause one.
Okay, one second. This is something. Yeah, this.
So it is always related. It is always related to this this container. That's why my question is why the pause is creating container when we are creating Nginx container. It always create one pause container also. I don't know what is that.
Okay, I will give the answer of this question in the next session for sure. Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Ramesh, for the scaling part today, you were telling about that activity guide also was telling about stateless, right? So anyway, the auto scaling is same for stateless and stateful, right? I don't know why.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was saying because it was a database should be in the stateful condition. That's why I was saying like.
Also, otherwise, all the okay. But again, we normally auto scale stateful also, right? It doesn't. I mean, irrespective. Okay.
Irrespective whether it is stateful or stateless, auto scaling works similar like that because it scales the pod.
Okay, thank you.
Sonali, I'm so sorry. What is the question? How to start a local Kubernetes cluster with kubelet expose cAdvisor metrics?
And also the debugging techniques.
Debugging techniques, we'll see that one. But why you want to expose the cAdvisor? Any question? Any specific reason for that? How to start? What is actually your intention of this question? I'm just trying to understand.
No, just wanted to understand, is it a possible scenario that we can expose the cAdvisor matrix or is it not? Can we do that?
Till now, I have not seen the cAdvisor has been exposed because this is not coming under the pod, right? So that I will try to check. This is something which I will come back on this particular topic because now I need to rush it now because I don't have time to explain that.
Yeah, makes sense. Sure.
Ramesh, sorry, just one request, please. The last one, please. Can you, you know, the command to expose a pod, like a kubectl expose. Can you just type the command on the chat for me, please?
What is the command you want? kubectl expose.
Kubectl expose, yeah, and the parameters, yes, please. You used it before.
Ramesh, we are missing the comments from the master node. Actually, earlier you posted from the worker machine.
Okay, one second. I think Piyush will do that tomorrow. Piyush will, when he gets a time, he will log into the master because he's having access to this one. He will do that one. Don't worry about it. If you don't mind.
Ramesh, someone is asking about the commands, right? So I just pasted a link. I think that's helpful. Can
Yeah.
I don't know who
Okay,
said.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ramesh, good night.
Good
Good
Ramesh.
night, guys. All right. Thank you, friends.
Or it's good morning for you. Okay.
No, I am in India. I just it is 11 p.m. for me now. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Take care and
Yeah.
see you in the next
Thank you.
session. We'll enjoy. Thank you. I hope that you got something